Dude, why the fuck would I listen to Non-Taken? What the fuck is that?
Thanks, Bill Burr, friend of the show, Bill Burr. Who is that really, Alan?
Simon King, which
Friend
will be
of
on
the
our show for
Actual,
episode.
real life friend of the show.
Yeah.
He was on here last year, one of our best episodes, and we said, you know what? Let's bring him back on for one of our 100 episodes. We like doing comics for that. We had Fritz on last time. Everybody loved him. Tune in next week. It'll be next Friday, right? It'll be on September 11th, at least when we record.
Right.
We'll be recording. That was actually fun because we know he's having issues with his passport or his visa. And I'm like, hey, man, do you have any plans on September 11th? And I was like, oh, that's not going to help you through. That's not going to help you.
The NSA just noted that. Yeah, but for episode 400, he'll be joining us. So that'll be a fun show.
He was like, big plans.
He did the news with us last time. It was good. And big plans. Yeah.
I don't think we did the news with him. I don't think we did.
No, we did.
No, really? Because I was going to say this time we could do the news with him.
No, we did news with them. We did like 4 or 5 headlines with them. I remember.
Let's do a whole fucking headline show with him.
Because I was really nervous because I didn't know how to transition from the front of the show to the news part.
Yeah.
And I kind of flubbed it a little bit, but it worked out.
Oh, it was fine. You know what would have been better is if you had a neighbor fall down the stairs. That's usually what we do when we want to like get the guests to stick around longer, is have your neighbor fall down the stairs. I was talking about that at the wedding. Alan, you would have loved this if you were at the wedding. Me and Ryan Ricketts and a nice guy, Matt. Does Matt Ritzman want his government name on the show? Yeah, him and Matt Ritzman. We were all talking about that guy that fell down the stairs. We were like, you know what? Do you still know him? Can we get that old man on the podcast?
Yeah,
we should get him on the show.
Okay.
I don't know how it'll go, but do you think he'd be good on the show?
No, he's very old man. But I'm sure I could get him,
but not podcast.
Right,
presidential material.
I could get him to do, maybe 5 minutes or something like that. That dude, his cat never came back, dude.
What does that mean?
Like the cat freaked out
the very next day. Well, when he fell and he was holding the kitty cat, it ran away and never came back.
Yeah.
This story just got old man falls down. Listeners, go listen to episode 300. We're interviewing. It's the episode with James Fritz, Creek Chub. Alan's neighbor in the middle of it fell down the stairs. 70-year-old man, blood everywhere, no broken bones. He was fine. He healed, right?
Yeah, he healed. Took a while, but he healed. Yes.
The kitty cat he was holding ran away, which is
he had the cat in like a really old like cat house that was made of wood, which is part of the reason he fell because the cat shifted its weight.
I didn't even think they ever made those of wood.
Yeah, and so he dropped it and it broke, and the cat took off, and the cat's never come back.
I'm picturing like a cat box, whatever. That would have been like what the guys are holding in the Pirates of the Caribbean when they're the kitty cat. Like
imagine like a wooden doghouse shrunken down to cat size with the handle.
No, I just can't imagine the time where they made houses for cats to be inside, and people had cats that they treated like they'd put them inside doghouses. Like by the time that existed, we had plastic,
we had nylon, and
nylon, etc. Yeah. All right. Anyway, that's not what I intended to open the show with. I wanted to ask you a question.
Oh, yes.
Did I ever tell you why I would never buy an electric car?
No. Oh, is it because of the sharks thing?
It's not because of the sharks thing. That's boats. That's why I'll never have an electric boat, even though I live in Tennessee. There's probably not any sharks in there, but I don't know what else there is.
Never know.
You never ever know. So I heard this story. This is it just occurred to me that we have a listener that's going to understand this story. So I will speak in vague terms.
Okay.
But this is why I personally will never own a Tesla.
Okay.
So one day you're just owning a Tesla, not doing meth, right?
Okay. That's okay.
And then you're like, well, I got to charge my Tesla somewhere, but I live in an apartment, so I got to drive down to the mall.
Right.
And plug
back into the space and plug in.
Yeah. And, that takes an hour, right?
Sure.
Lo and behold, there's a bar across the street. So you go to the bar. Maybe it's just like a Circle K and you go and buy some cigarettes and stand outside and smoke your cigarettes, and there's those people bothering you. But maybe it's a bar, right? You end up at the bar. You make friends with someone. After a while, time's not going to kill itself. They offer you some crystal meth and you're like, you know what? I literally have nothing else to do. This car's not charging fast enough.
Might as well pass the time. Yeah.
Gee, this is a true story, man. This got passed down to me secondhand that I am trying to keep vague. And yeah, it was married with with a wife, Alan. Married with a wife. I don't know if there was kids. Married with a wife. Have your fancy electric car.
Yeah.
Down there.
Domesticated life.
Met some stranger while you're waiting for your car to charge. The sweet crystal meth just got its fingers into you. Next thing you know, you lose your car, you lose your wife, you lose your apartment.
Wow.
All because of an electric car. That's why I don't do electric cars, Alan.
Damn. I mean, that's a good reason.
That's you tune into None Taken for it. It's a real Aesop's fable. I feel like I tell this story better when I don't have a broken fucking back. My back hurts so fucking much, Alan. It hurts so much. I've already had 2 beers in the pre-show. I never take a swig off of this other than to clear my throat before I yell welcome really loud.
Mm-hmm.
I had a swig of that. I got a big fucking thing of Yingling just to get through this half. Like, I am gonna get drunk until my back doesn't hurt. Frontiersman style.
Well, we'll be here for it.
Hey,
I'm sorry, man. That sucks.
Speaking of people that probably never do meth, I don't usually start the show with a Trump rally person, but our listeners definitely know the Constitution. I think enough for this to piss them off, and I think this is a funny one to start the show.
Okay.
What do you feel about the people here protesting Donald Trump?
Well, I feel like everybody should have something to say, but this is a Trump rally. If you don't like it, don't come here to protest. Don't come if you're uneducated and you don't know what you're talking about.
You would rather they just didn't come here?
I would rather them not come here.
Are you a fan of the First Amendment?
Absolutely. You know, the right to bear arms. Look, this is...
That's not the First Amendment.
No, the Fourth Amendment.
Let me in his damn house.
Should we hit record?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
Ready?
I am ready.
4 search and seizures, right?
Are you recording?
Yes.
Big one.
Yeah. You want to start a show?
Let's start a show.
That podcast is filling your head with garbage.
No offense taken there.
Well, it sounds like None Taken. It's episode number 397 of None Taken, the internet's only debate and current event show, with your hosts Dustin and Alan, 2 political nomads from 2 different worlds, daywalkers like Alan. Shout out to Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band for the use of their song Ways and Means for intro music. I'll be seeing you September 21st at the Exit Inn in Nashville. Thank you for the use of their song Ways and Means. Did I say that? At the time of this recording, it is Tuesday, if you say so, September 3rd, 2024. It's a great day for America. We are 2 coastal elites coming to you from the shores of the mighty Cumberland in Madison, Tennessee, all the way to the Pacific waters of El Cerrito, California. Here to recap another week. Current events, sharing way too much of our tragic personal life. And we're taking a sledgehammer to the culture war echo chambers. Please subscribe right now over at nonetakenpods.com. You can join the Patreon. $3 a month gets you in. If you like to donate more than just subscribe, you can join at the $9 amount. If you will go to the $18 amount, we send you a shirt that says Culture War Veteran. If you don't like that shirt, just tell me what you want from the merch store. It's yours. It's got your name on it, buddy. That's at nonetakenpod.com. You got to say things 3 times. That's why all our ads are so fucking annoying when we listen to podcasts and you got to skip it and they say legal zoom, or whatever. Why am I doing that? Nonetakenpod.com, nonetakenpod.com, Beetlejuice. Can't wait for Beetlejuice to come out, by the way. That sounds like fun. That's next week. No, stop it. You're going to nonetakenpod.com. That's what you're doing. Then you buy tickets for Beetlejuice. And there's other things you can do there. Alan will tell you about that.
There are. Yeah. So When you join the Patreon, you get our hidden track, which you do before each episode. So some bonus content there for you, as well as you get early access to interviews and things like that we do bonus content for you. And sometimes there's exclusive content. We do an interview, we don't put it anywhere else but there. So lots of cool stuff for the Patreon at the low price of $3. You can also check out our merch store at nonetakenpod.com. You can buy some cool t-shirts, hats, mugs, that kind of stuff. Also, at the bottom, there's a link. Don't forget to support the people that support us. SlicketsDigital.com for all your SEO and marketing needs. SlicketsDigital.com.
How much are bananas at Trader Joe's still? Are they still 19 cents?
Oh, I think it's like 69 cents now.
That ain't right. No,
No?
that ain't 69-cent bananas.
It'd
Nice.
be nice.
Yeah, nice.
Nice.
So let's, I'm just going to do a little 3 divided by 0.19. You get 15 and a half bananas.
Or
They're all going to go bad. You're not going to eat that many bananas.
Yeah.
You get 15 and a half bananas, or you could just subscribe to Nontaken.
I mean, what are you gonna do? Make banana bread?
Yeah, what are you going to do? What are you going to make? Banana bread?
Get
then
fat,
you're
all those carbs.
Or we're cutting in your banana bread budget. That would have been really cool to not have that video up while I was doing it every time. So unprofessional. This time I can blame my back. Alan, what's been going on in your life?
Oh,
Yeah,
you know.
going back like this, that wasn't happening earlier.
Oh, that's nice.
You know what,
A little
that's
bit more
impressive.
motion. Loosen you up a little bit.
A little
Muscle
bit, right.
relaxer, that old number 7. So actually didn't get up to a whole lot this weekend. I watched a little bit of some sporting events, some tennis, some Cal
College
killed
football
it.
starts and you watch tennis.
I watched Cal too. Cal killed it on the
You
weekend.
watched Cal play
Yeah.
football.
Yeah. It's like 10
Was
minutes.
it
for me.
on somewhere where you went to it?
No, I didn't go. Oh fuck. I would have loved to, but they won 31.
You didn't
to,
watch
like,
Florida State lose their second game of the season both times on like primetime TV.
I did not.
Oh, it's been hilarious. They went to Ireland to do a kickoff and they lost to Georgia Tech. And then they came back like, well, that was a fluke, guys. Under the new system, we can lose 2 games. Lost their second game. It's over. And they were like the preseason number 4 or something. It was so funny.
Yikes. How about you, man? What'd you get up to?
Oh, just lower back pain. Just that. That's it. College football started as I hinted at. Oklahoma played Friday night, so I got off work early and headed home and watched Oklahoma beat the hell out of Temple. That was fun, but I'm not going to talk about that. We had bad weather this weekend, which translated to Saturday was for the boys. Saturday was for college football.
Right.
So I watched college football on Saturday. Good weather Saturday. Sunday, all rain, like torrential downpour rain. The type of rain where, like, when I woke up in the morning, it said 30% chance of rain. I was like, we've gone to the lake when it said that before. But I got a feeling about today. I think today is going to get bad. And then when you don't go to the lake, you're like, it better fucking rain, right?
Right.
And it rained so hard. We like didn't want to leave from one store to the next store. It was raining that bad, let alone being in the fucking lake. Yeah. Meanwhile, people were like trying to convince us to go to Muddy Roots this year too. Muddy Roots got dumped on. Oh my God. But
is it also hot? Is it hot?
Yeah, no, it's been cooling down. It was 60 degrees overnight out.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
It's going to be in the 50s by the end of this week. But it's non-linear. That'll flex back up and then it'll come back in, you know.
Yeah.
You know, they like to ease it in on you with the fall. Ease it in. Got to bring the plants inside soon, Natasha. You gotta have to bring the plants inside too, Natasha. All right, the whiskey's working. I'm not getting my words out in order. So because of the bad weather, we decided to go shopping. We haven't been to the antique stores in a while.
Antique.
And I had quite the find.
What did you find?
Now, I don't know if this is the strict definition of antique, but it does show up at vintage stores.
Okay.
Would you consider like 2003, 2000 to be vintage yet? It's almost there. It's almost 25 years.
I absolutely would.
You really would?
Dude, this shirt I'm wearing is from 2001. It's one of the first concerts I ever went to.
I was going to ask you about that shirt earlier. I like your communist star in the middle of it.
Yeah, it's
goddamn.
No, it's an Australian band.
Oh, never mind. I take it back.
23 years ago, I saw them live.
The Living End, eh?
Yeah, at the Fillmore in San Francisco.
Fillmore. Remember when we were trying to go to, not the Fillmore, remember?
The Warfield.
Warfield. And we were drunkenly asking tourists if they know where the Warfield is. And they just stare at us like.
Yeah. We went the wrong way on Market Street.
Yes. Dude, I had no idea where I was. Eric brought that strange cigarette into the car and I got lost. So you're not going to believe what I'm holding in my hand here.
What are you holding in your hand?
If I told you I had a vintage life-size, well, not life-size, life-size miniature scale model of the 43rd president that talks.
What?
Believe it? Yeah. Now, quick math, Alan. Who's 43?
Bush?
It is Bush. Get ready for this. Get ready, okay?
I'm ready. Bring it.
Look at that. Look at that. It gets better, Alan. If you press this button on his lapel,
Uh-huh.
you can't tip it. I could turn it up a little more. Hold on. Ready? Look.
America.
We have a military equal to every challenge and superior to every adversary. And our country is unified. Believe in America.
Wow.
It's got more phrases than that. It's got 25 unique phrases. Yeah, unique.
Unique. I only wish it had a string you could pull instead of pushing the button.
And superior to every adversary.
That in the doll. They put that one in the doll. As far as I'm concerned, it's not too high. Yeah, a couple
Did
of
you get a
generational wealth lost, forever wars. Guys, absolutely dick, and then we can blame the Democrats for it. Totally
Did
fine.
you get a good deal on the doll?
$25,
Oh, that's a steal.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure it's $25. It's written on here somewhere. It doesn't matter. $25, yeah.
It's still in the
$25
box. That's
out
probably
the door,
worth.
new inbox. NIB.
I mean-
Put that on the listing, right?
Yeah.
That,
You made that
know
shit,
what?
dude.
You know what?
Oh, he can live right there. I love it.
Yeah.
You can make sure the flap closes though.
Well, the Velcro is not working, but
Oh.
like, I feel like. Can you,
Oh, have it open. There you go.
can you see him?
Yeah, I can see him.
All right, there we go. And we got him to look over us just like we did from 2000 to 2008.
Him and Jack.
Just looking right over us,
Yeah.
making sure. Thank God we got him back there, keeping us safe. Looking out for all us sinners, as
Indeed.
they say in the Big Lebowski. Well, I did get up to one thing other than that, which I will share with you, and then we'll get into the show. I went to the lake. This is
Mhm.
before my back hurt. This is the scene of the back hurting.
Okay.
I had
This is post rain Sunday.
it was a great day at the lake on Monday.
Oh, Monday.
And as chances are, our last day of the season. Typically, we start getting these flies at the lake that time of year that are like just big fucking flies, and they land on Petra and they scare her, and it's like it just kind of ruins the lake for everybody.
Mm.
So they weren't there yet, so it was a great day at the lake. It was fucking wonderful. Weather was great. I found some Pacificos in a can, so just sitting on the shore drinking Pacificos just made me like feel like my childhood getting drunk at Tijuana. Like, it was wonderful, man.
Childhood.
You don't get this way by accident, man. You got to
You got started early.
you got to nip those brain cells in the bud while they're forming. You got to cut off all those neural pathways and
Hey man, I'm with
redirect
ya.
them over here. You know.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's it. That is it. I got some comedy clips. Our entire segment is Thrash submitted because, well, I forgot it was show day. So like normally, like I just like come like Monday, Tuesday, and Monday was a holiday.
Mhm.
Monday and Tuesday, I start going through the comedy clips that have been sent in and start adding them into the sheet. And that also, we didn't get as many sent in, I think, because it was a party weekend. People were busy.
Yeah, people. Yeah.
But Thrash had a couple in there, so I just scrolled back in the chats with Thrash and added a bunch of clips that he had sent in. I got 5 clips. One I think is my clip, but let's start with a classic Bill Burr, who you would recognize from the show open, saying that he doesn't like
Friend of the show.
friend of the show.
You know what I like? You know what I hate about these corporate chains?
This is just classic Bill Burr, right? Just
Mm.
ranting about something. Like
Sure.
if you were to be like, "Don't you hate it when they make you put the condiments on?" And be like, "I can't make that funny." Well,
You go in there, you're paying for a business. They make you like do half the job now. I don't get it. Like I walk in, hey, let me get a turkey sandwich, lettuce, tomato on rye with mayonnaise. The guy behind the counter's like, all right, turkey sandwich, lettuce, tomato on rye. Yeah, and mayonnaise. Oh, the mayonnaise is it's right over there. Really? Why don't you fucking go over there, put it on my sandwich? You get it? I'm on this side of the register. Guy who orders the sandwich, guy who fucking makes the sandwich. You get it? I'm sorry they fired the mayonnaise guy, but I'm not doing it. I just gave you 100% of the money to make 100% of the sandwich. This isn't like a relay race. You make half the sandwich, then you hand it off to me. I run over, I throw a pickle on it, frisbee it over to my mom. She sticks an olive with a toothpick in it. Do you recognize me? It's because I don't fucking work here. All right? Just make the sandwich.
That is definitely some classic Bill Burr. Is
Right?
that just the evolution of Jerry Seinfeld though? Like, what's the
Yeah,
deal
it's
with
like
the-
observational.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're dead right, man. Hell yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you nailed that. Yeah, it is. It is. Every time we go to the lake, Natasha makes sandwiches. She always makes one Vegemite and one like just a regular sandwich, like turkey and stuff in it. And they always have a toothpick holding the sandwich together.
classy
Well,
lady.
for transport reasons, I feel like
Sure.
you don't want them to shift around.
Yeah, I
and
don't want
stuff.
that meat
And-
sliding around all over the place.
Whenever she hands it to me, she's always like, you got to take that toothpick out or you're going to eat it. Like I'm some fucking animal who's just going to eat a toothpick.
You should have a toothpick stuck to the roof of your mouth.
You hear that, Natasha? Who would ever do that? Alan, can I talk to you real quick?
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll forget that I'll look at her. I'll be like, you don't have to tell me that, woman. And then I'll like take another bite. Go, fuck, toothpick got me. God damn it. And then I yell at her. I'm like, why didn't you tell me about the toothpick? All right. This is a bit from comedian we love, Jeff Dye, talking about DUIs.
If you guys are drinking and driving tonight, be careful. They'll get you. You know what I mean? That's what got me sober. Here's what I don't understand. Why is it if you crash your car at an incredible rate, there's glass and twisted metal and fire, you don't know what's going
Twisted Metal, great video game.
on. If you had a good night, you're like, what? If you get out of the car, the police will give you an extra charge. Yeah. Just for crashing your car. I think it's a California thing or something.
You hear all the drunk people be
You're
like,
like, what?
What?
That don't sound right to
They look at
me.
each other, they're like, well, we're drunk. It's good to know that. Okay, well, just don't get out of the car today.
But yeah, I got out of the car because it's on fire. Like, what am I supposed to stay in there? I'm trying to argue this with the police too while we're wrestling around, and he. I'm making some great arguments. I'm like, what was I supposed to just stay in there? And when I got back to the jail, I said, listen, dude, seriously, man, the car is on fire. I had to get out. And then, that's what you're supposed to do. Get a safe distance from a fiery vehicle. And the cops were so smooth, too. They're like, yeah, man. Yeah, we found you 4 miles from the car. It was a big fire. What is a safe distance? That's what I said. If you guys...
Wow, Tucker loved that one.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay, this one's a little long, but that's James Adomian style. Do you like James?
I don't know that name off the top of my head.
Do you know? Hopefully my internet went out in the middle of the show. That's another one of my favorite things. You there, bud?
I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're fine. James
not familiar
Adomian.
with
I
him.
know that Fritz talks about him a lot. Maybe you've heard Fritz
Okay.
talk about him. I mean,
Maybe.
he's more than an up and coming comedian.
Okay.
But
I'll see if I recognize his voice.
okay.
No matter what happens to Armenians, it doesn't get on the news. You tune into CNN and they're like, the Armenians.
A little bit about Armenia. Oh, sorry. I can't I can restart it. He's talking about how like Armenians get no pub.
I do recognize the voice.
Yeah.
No matter what happens to Armenians, it doesn't get on the news. You tune into CNN and they're like, the Armenians, we've heard the word. We don't know what they are. Armenians are out there, I guess. If you want to find out more, we suggest you go to tune into the BBC. They'll know. Turn on the BBC, they're not much better. They're like, the Armenians. What really are the Armenians? Armenia, a faraway land, beyond the boundaries of human empathy. Do they truly deserve human rights? To answer this question, we'll be joined this hour by 2 experts. One of them, a sitting cabinet member in the government of Turkey, and the other, an executive at a petroleum corporation. No matter what happens.
Oh, fucking nailed it though, right?
That's hilarious.
Yeah. You know what? You know him. He's an impressionist. I think he did all of the really good Bernie impressions, and he was George W. Bush on Harold and Kumar.
Oh, okay.
But you didn't like know him as that.
Right. Okay.
But I believe he's friends with Fritz. I think they're all him and Brido and all those guys. I think they do know each other, at least crossed paths a few times.
Nice.
Okay, Thrash sent this one in. All I saw was the first few seconds of this. It was about reincarnation. And like I said, the comedy segment was a little light. So I plugged this right into the show, sight unseen. Let's do it.
So, it's tougher for black people to believe in reincarnation.
Oh,
Right now I can blame white people for slavery. Right, that's some fucked up shit you did back then. But just because I'm black now, doesn't mean I was black in my past. I could be who I'm angry at. I could have been a slave owner. That could be my statue I made them take down. And they say when you fuck up in your past life, when you come back, your next life is harder.
Wow.
As a former white person, I'd like to warn you, new white, that Black Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's good. Is there more?
If they don't, you'll find out. You know what I'm saying? So no matter what race, nationality, black, white, Asian, Palestinian, or Jewish, be good to people because you don't know who you're going to come back to be. You know what I'm saying?
One more.
Because I definitely should have been a better slave owner.
Good. That has to be it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Do you just want to find out? Because
That's
the way my life is going, I was a top tier 1 asshole. Just so you know.
That was it.
okay. There's one line.
That was good. That was fun.
was
man.
good.
Yeah. I like the way he kept you like right on the
Yeah.
He kept you on the roller coaster of like, yeah, I can make you laugh again. I can make you laugh again. Don't settle down yet, like a female orgasm, Alan. You know how they can just keep going. You're like, that's not fair. Like, I'm done for a while. But laughter's like that girl come where it's just
right.
Like,
exactly like that.
That's me as a girl coming.
Exactly.
Don't talk during it. James is gonna isolate that. Okay, I'm definitely done though, for the listener's sake. And my social and personal life's sake. Let's move on. I got a toaster strudel bit.
Oh.
Also, all of these are thanks to Young Thrash Lad. One of the aforementioned youngsters doing their homework these days.
Because I'm not a big
is Tribal Sleeve. That can't be a name. I'm not. You know what? I didn't give the last guy credit. I'm not giving this guy
into
credit.
politics, but I do think that the icing on toaster strudel looks like cum. Which gave me a pretty good idea. I have 2 roommates, so I made 3 toaster strudels, and 2 of them I put regular icing on.
Yeah, okay, I submitted this. This is not Thrash does not get played for this. 2 of them regular icing.
One of them I did not put regular icing on. Walked into my living room and I was like, hey, who wants a toaster strudel? And they're high as shit, so they both grab one and they're chowing down, right? And I was like, oh man, they have no idea I'm eating cum.
Well, that was unexpected.
Yeah, got you there, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Got me.
This was really good. Okay, so we're out of stand-up comedy, but we sometimes I like to have the first clip in the segment be somewhat comedy adjacent, transition. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You got it. So this is 2 dead guys talking to each other. Man, that sucks. They're both dead. Here's nailed it, Dustin. Just dead dog records all over this podcast. So so Gilbert Gottfried, noted dead person, right?
Yes.
And also famously dead Norm Macdonald. So Norm is great in this bit where he hands a sheet to Gilbert to read, and he tells Gilbert that it's a famous quote. And he's going to read the famous quote, and then at the end, he's going to read who the quote was from.
Okay.
All right. But it's all a setup from Norm, as you know.
Of course.
Famous quotes. While your man is hard, use one hand to push his penis up toward his stomach. Lick the underside of his shaft by keeping your tongue flat and moving your head from side to side to cover more surface area. Barbara Bush.
Oh, that was Barbara Bush.
I remember she said that in the State of the Union.
Oh man, I didn't hit the button. I think I hit it twice, but I was laughing so hard. Oh man. Oh.
Man, miss those guys.
Speaking of people that fucked a lot, Barbara Bush. Speaking of people that fucked a lot, have you ever heard about Adam West's famous dalliances?
No.
So I know he was always like portrayed as like what are some of these outdated terms like poon slayer or like
like a cigar smoking ladies man of the time.
You picked admirably less offensive ways of saying it to me. Yes. So if you think about it, he was the first TV/movie superhero.
Yeah, actually.
Like, before that there was famous actors, but there was never like, well, I guess there was the Lone Ranger and there was
Zorro. It's a little different, but similar.
Yeah. Anyway, so apparently he was just killing it, man. Just all right. Bang, bang, bang. You know what I mean?
Adam West and Burt Ward became
it's Cody Tucker.
Famous in the 60s for their portrayal of Batman and Robin. They were
It was the 60s. It was post-cocaine, pre-AIDS. No, you know what though? It wasn't post-pill. I've said it here on the show before. The best time to be alive is post-birth control, post-cocaine, pre-AIDS. Could you just imagine just to live that time period? Like just
that's where you're going if you got the time machine.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then I keep the time machine and go back to the beginning.
You just keep starting over.
Yeah.
Groundhog Day for that period. Okay.
Were also equally infamous in Hollywood for their off-screen debauchery. This included Adam West sleeping with up to 8 women a day. 2 of those women were Natalie Wood and Raquel Welch. One time, Adam West slept with so many women in the city of Aspen, Colorado, that this city banned him from returning for another 15 years. Adam West was having sex between scenes, on lunch breaks, pretty much every chance he got. It was not uncommon for there to be an actual line of women waiting outside of Adam West's dressing room, sometimes starting as early as 7 in the morning. One of the most insane stories involving Adam West's escapades involved Adam West and the actor Frank Gorshin, who played the Riddler on the Batman series, attending an orgy together. They were both kicked out of said orgy because both of them kept pretending to be in character the entire time. Adam West and Burt.
Oh, how about that?
Damn,
that's like that, man. Riddle me this. Oh my God. Could you imagine the riddle me this is in an orgy? I want you to close your eyes, Batman. Now, what do you feel? Well, it's squishy.
Man, you got to stay hydrated for that many times a day. Like, geez.
No shit, right?
Yeah. Those water backpacks.
You ever, Natasha, stop listening. Everybody else. Do you ever like recognize how dehydrated you are by the way it comes out?
Of course. Yeah.
So every once in a while, I'm like, well, I thought I was doing fine, but
it's like, man, this dust coming out.
Drink a lot more water. Like, it's probably best we move on. Do you know, speaking of sinners, we haven't played a preacher on here for a while. By the way, I found a new preacher page that just has bad pastors on it. So expect.
Oh, fun. Okay.
This is, did you know that Call Me Maybe was a satanic song? The Carly Rae Jepsen?
Oh, no, I was unaware.
By the way, the one that I was talking about, that was not Carly Rae, Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae that I love. Remember like 2 episodes ago where I was saying I love Carly Rae Jepsen. It was off her second album. It was I really, 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 really want you. Do you want me? So I want you. Do you want me to? Never heard it, huh? It's never happened.
I have heard it.
Did it play in retail?
It definitely
that sounds like it would have played in retail.
Yeah.
So what I found when I stopped working in retail was all these pop songs are a lot more palatable when you aren't forced to hear them 8 times a fucking day.
Yeah, I imagine.
Like Taylor Swift, all of a sudden speaks to me because I'm not forced to hear 17 Taylor Swift songs on repeat a day.
You know what?
I still stand by this. Maybe if you wore the high heels instead of the sneakers and the short skirt instead of the t-shirts, just maybe the quarterback would have liked you. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying don't complain about it. And every time I trot this out, my cousin tells me she was a teenager and I have to shut the fuck up. But I just, hey, life advice to teenage girls, listen to Untaken. Don't listen to Taylor Swift.
God is revealing to us the name of the Antichrist. Hey, I just met you. Now, the I in this case refers to the Antichrist.
Oh.
And just meeting you means that he is revealing himself.
Oh.
He doesn't establish why the I means the Antichrist. It just gives him an opportunity to move on.
Right, right.
Okay.
This is the Antichrist entrance into the end times. And this is crazy. That's the 7 years of tribulation.
Oh.
But here's my number. He is talking here about his number of the beast, which he is going to give to every one of us. So call me maybe.
The cousin girlfriend from Arrested Development. Do you remember her? Maybe?
No.
Oh. That was a good joke.
sure
Everybody except you that's seen Arrested Development gets that joke. I'm keeping it in the show. Good thing we don't edit it.
Now, he's not saying call me on the telephone. What the Antichrist is saying here is, my name is maybe. Call me maybe. Nostradamus also called the Antichrist Mabus. God.
I love the fact that, like, with
You there? I lost.
You're navigating between interpretations of the Bible and interpretations of Nostradamus.
Right.
Like,
and just stating everything as if it's just purely statable fact.
Yeah. So the I means, the beast. So let's move on. Yeah.
And the number, obviously, the number of the beast.
Yeah. Any number, though. Any song that refers to a number. And call me maybe, as Nostradamus calls him, Mabus. Or could it mean this freckle face chick that everybody has a crush on that's about my age?
Oh, she's pretty.
Do you remember her?
Did
you watch Arrested Development?
Not a lot. I did watch some, but she's cute.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Okay. We have cute kid says a bad word. That's always funny, right? When
that's always
kids
good.
cuss.
Yeah, I like that.
Everybody likes this. This is so the mom, so they both have an accent. I don't know what their accent is. Irish? I'm not sure. Some kind of like made up accent over near England.
Okay.
Nobody fucking talks like that on purpose.
England.
So the mom is, what if you can't understand because they talk like gibberish. The mom is saying you can say one bad word, but wait until I leave the room, and I'm going to leave the camera on. You can say it into the camera. Get it?
Okay, got it.
All right.
Wait. When I leave, are you going to say a bad word, one bad word, into here? But when I leave, you can say it.
Couldn't.
Yeah.
That's a good kid.
I feel like that's an English accent. It's just like maybe Liverpool or somewhere. It's not. I don't think it's Irish, but there's a lot of different English accents in the UK.
Yeah, Liverpool, pee in the pool. You know what? I'm really impressed. That whole time I was like getting drunk in the pool at the wedding, I didn't pee in the pool. I got out every time.
Oh, good for you.
I didn't see other people get out. Talking to you, Matt Ritzman. I didn't see you get out of the pool. I bet your girlfriend did, but I don't know about you. Also, I don't mean to make this awkward, and I'm sure you already addressed it, but is that your girlfriend or are you guys engaged? Are you about to engage right now? Is the ring in your pocket? Are we spoiling this while you're driving to your spot? I really hope I didn't blow everything up. You know what? The reason I ask is you guys are so perfect together. You look like you're already married. Oh, this is a show for two people, huh? Word that was I'm medicated in my back.
Yeah.
Get off my back, Alan. Literally. Shit. Fuck.
You're nice and lubed up.
Have you been listening to? I wish that was cleaner. That was really good. Have I been talking to you? Have I been saying this on the show, or has this just been in the personal life, like before we hit record? Are people familiar with the fact that Natasha's trying to make me get a goddamn cat?
Oh, I don't think we've talked about it on the show.
Natasha makes me want to get a cat, or she keeps making me want to get a cat, or whatever I'm trying to
She's
say.
trying to convince you to get a cat.
Words.
Yes.
I love kitty cats. I've had a kitty cat before. I don't think they'd be a problem with a dog, but like,
would it be an indoor cat or an outdoor cat?
Well, we got big birds out here, you know.
Indoor.
It would. I mean, if I had my way, he would be mostly outdoors, but he's still gonna come inside and shit probably.
I like cats.
I like cats too.
Yeah.
I just
Dogs.
look.
Yeah.
Two things I don't want. We have a leather sofa, and while that thing's a kitten, it's gonna scratch and ruin the sofa. There's no way it's not. She doesn't believe me. I'm like, I don't want to feel the way I'm imagining feeling when I get mad at this animal for just, oh, it's just being a cat. Arms all like, you know. That's one thing. The other one is the cat box. There isn't a room in the house where I'm okay with the cat box being. I don't want it to be in my office. I don't want it to be in my bathroom. She doesn't want it to be in her office because that's also the guest bedroom. We don't want it in our bedroom. She can put it in her bathroom, but I don't know if she wants that. Like it can't go in the laundry room. Ain't no room in there. We put it in the kitchen, but that's where we eat, Alan.
Yeah, that'd be gross. Yeah, don't do that.
Cat shit where you eat. It's a common phrase.
Yeah, it's a thing you don't do.
So until then, I don't. And then here's the other thing. Here's the other reason why I don't want to get a cat.
If you ask me what's the weirdest and creep,
this is Jason Pargin, and for the longest time, I didn't know why I knew that name, and then it came to me over the weekend. He used to go by a different name, and I've heard the real name because he'd always give his nom de plume and his real name when he would be a guest on Cracked podcasts back in the day.
Oh, okay.
So I always remembered his name because, well, I remembered his real name, or I remembered his nom de plume, David Wong, because he always explained that he looked up the two most common names, most common first name, most common last name. And he was like, well, I think like most common first name was probably Ali. So he was like, well, I'm not going to go with that, but you know, because he's just, you know, white presenting, Alan. So he picked David, which similar reasons as Ali. Or Muhammad. I get Muhammad and Ali confused because of Muhammad Ali. Muhammad's the most common first name.
Yes.
Did you see what happened though? I got Muhammad.
I did. I understood.
Okay.
I knew it was happening. Yes.
Anyway, David Wong's not his real name. I know him as David Wong, but his name is Jason Pargin. He wrote the book that turned into a movie called John Dies at the End. It's on TV all the time. It's not like your favorite movie. You might have seen it, maybe you haven't. He also wrote a book called This Book is Full of Spiders. He's an author.
Okay.
We played him on the show before. Remember when we played that clip about how South Park theory of comedy versus the modern punching up?
Oh, I do. Okay, yes. I knew I recognized him. Okay.
I always thought he was an old dude with white hair when I would listen to the podcast he would guest on. We need to get this guy on the show. He's like roughly our age. He's probably a couple years older than us, but he's like our generation of like
comedy and
like getting it and not being a fucking cunt about people pissing you off and
sure.
Like, hey, I could have no problem telling you why you bothered me without acting outraged by that. How weird. What a concept. All right. This has nothing to do with none of that, but I follow him, so I see his cool rants all the time. This one is about that fucking parasite that lives inside.
Oh, the cat.
Mice that goes into
the mice.
cats so that they can get into our brain.
Yes.
I'm not about this.
creepiest organism on Earth, and I don't know why you would ask me that, but if you did, it would have to be this, the parasite Toxoplasmosis gondii. And if you've never heard of this, no matter what you're expecting to hear right now, you're going to be wrong. For example, you're probably imagining all sorts of horrible things a parasite can do to your body. But this, when it gets into the system of, say, a gray wolf, it makes the wolf more successful in life. Wolves infected with toxoplasmosis become pack leaders, or they go off and they start their own packs. The reason is its life cycle depends on the infected getting eaten. So what it does is it works its way into the brain and increases risk-taking. So for example, mice and...
People don't talk about that enough, right? People are like, I'm an alpha, I'm a leader. It's like, statistically, this means you're going to die. You're going to die young.
Yep.
Like, look at the history of leadership. It's nothing but turmoil. I'm not saying don't be that. And you should, by all means, like, figure out what your pack is. If you're a father, you should lead your children 100%.
Sure.
Right? Or if you're like, you know, a group of people that look up to you, like you should fulfill that role. But if you're like a freelance leader going out and trying to like gather followers, like there might be
Or even
you might have been around a cat too long,
right, or
Fact,
even a
we-
leader like a medieval leader, leading a
Yeah,
gang.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
very likely going to die. like,
People that
next
are
week.
power obsessed, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But those parasites suddenly become unafraid of cats, and then they get eaten by the cats.
Do we both know the whole story of toxoplasmosis? And I bet
Yeah.
most of our listeners do. Did we cut that off too much? So it's like if you've been infected with toxo, you'll be more likely to engage in risky behavior.
Yeah.
And that just with the hopes, because that thing has gotten control of your brain, and all it wants to do, this thing that can live inside mammals will take over its brain and hope that it gets eaten by a cat. That's its whole life cycle, because the second half of its life cycle, it's not a whole life cycle. It gets to complete its full form inside the stomach of a cat.
Yep.
But
so
in
it
the world
reduces
of wolves,
inhibitions.
this is a tremendous advantage. In other contexts, an inability to feel fear is just called courage or bravery or boldness. I know what you're asking, can this infect humans? Yes, it can. And in fact, 1 out of every 10 people you run into have this in their system. There have been many studies trying to figure out how it impacts human behavior. Some claim to have shown that it increases risk-taking or car accidents, that kind of thing. But
I always associated with people on motorcycles. I'm like, I bet you got that toxo, man. Like if you're doing that crazy shit.
the evidence is very weak. We honestly just don't know. Because if it worked in people the way it works in wolves, people would already be selling it as a supplement. If you ask
That's actually good.
That is pretty funny. I know they've done studies trying to see if it affects like people who are in poverty more. And then what's the but it's very
close the sheet.
It's very difficult to sort of draw, correlation doesn't equal causation. It's very difficult to draw a straight line between outcomes to, but you can survey a population, see what the percentage of people are infected. But then to determine what that actually did to that population is very difficult to parse.
Still, just to be safe, I don't want to get a kitty cat, just because kitty cats, they bring that toxo into your life.
Well, if it's a kitty, it probably doesn't have it yet, unless there's a lot of rats in your area.
And they're gonna go eat them. Do you think there ain't no rats and mice out here? I live in a fucking rural.
There's a field behind you, so
Yeah. That's half of why I want them. Go get rid of all those bugs.
That's why my dad has cats. That's why they keep the rodents.
Pest control. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they keep these skunks from crawling under our crawl space, about like twice a year, a skunk will go under our crawl space and stink up our whole fucking house. Then I have to go back down there with that peppermint spray and spray it all over the place.
That sucks.
Oh my god! And then you know what I got the thought of last time a skunk did that? What if I went down there? There was a person down there.
Oh god.
Yeah. New fear unlocked.
Can you like not close it off so they can't get down there?
Well, yeah, but these rodents, they find holes. Well, you got to have a drainage hole, right? So there is like a tiny little hole, and if it's a baby skunk, they can still get in there. And that I like to think it's
Can't put a screen over it.
I can, but that could get filled with debris.
Yeah, clean it out every now and then. It's better than a skunk.
You understand what's just going to happen now, right? That's not doable. But you just put this task into Natasha's head. I'm probably going to have to put a screen up and clean the debris out of there, and then water's going to back up, and our crawl space is going to flood. Thanks, Alan.
Yeah, glad I could be there for you.
Yep.
It's good. Oh, how about that?
No, we're on from a how about that?
Isn't that something?
In an effort to keep the show from being 3.5 hours long, I tried to limit how about that to 5 clips, which we did there. I do have some Isn't That Something for you, and this is something that I think you already heard today. Me and you were texting while I was sitting on the couch. You listened to the newest episode of Knowledge Fight.
I did.
Where the host of the show and Jordan,
Dan and Jordan.
Do you want to talk about the premise of that show? Just because I think that they're going to come up more frequently.
So essentially,
it's my way of getting away with playing Alex on the show for no
right.
reason.
Yeah, and it's the only connection I have to Alex Jones' show because I'm definitely not.
Let's cram earthworms up our area.
I think we got plenty.
I'm definitely not going to listen to his show. So essentially, what Dan does, who's like the main host, is he listens or watches Alex Jones's show, and then he takes clips of it and he makes notes, and they kind of build a show around it.
He does the 13 hours of podcasting a day,
right?
But it's just Alex Jones,
right? And then Jordan kind of just tips in. They both have been like stand-up comedians in the past, so they both have sort of that background.
Jordan gives me bad stand-up vibes.
He did it for many years. I don't know if I don't think he has.
You know what? He gives me good stand-up vibes, but guest vibes. It's like I got.
Yeah, and he's. So Jordan is
But
blind.
guys, we were complaining about this in the hidden track.
Jordan is going into these episodes blind. He hasn't heard any of this.
Yeah.
So he's just reacting. And a lot of times,
Yeah, but you go into this show blind too,
I
and you
do.
don't annoy me like
No.
Jordan.
A lot of times his little rants end up going nowhere. And don't
Nowhere.
actually
He's
make
just
sense.
like, motherfuck this, I fuck
Right.
that, shit in my mouth. Like,
Yes, yeah, that happens. I think that explains it.
just complained about him in a way that just set me up. All right. So Alex has a great stunt. I'm taking this as it was a slow news week. Hey man, I do a news show too. Kind of been a slow time. Hey, the lady that wants to be president finally did a news interview. right?
Yeah.
That's going to be a bulk of our, the rest of this first half of the show. And Alex, I guess, didn't want to tear that apart because he couldn't find conspiracies in it. So he decided to do an interview. He had a very special guest, Alan.
Very special.
Who is the guest?
Chat GPT.
Thank you, Chat GPT. Let's talk about you a little bit when you're scraping all these.
He's talking to a computer.
Right.
Like every.
But he's talking to it like it's a person.
We only have 2 clips, okay? So like, just like you have to understand, you're not going to get a full immersed sensation of what this felt like. He is doing an interview where he interrupts the answer of the Chat GPT. He'll go, stop it, right?
But he
And then
treats
you're
it like it's a real person also.
All right, well, I know you can't answer that. I know you can answer that. So let me ask you a question you can answer, right?
Don't lie to me.
And then I don't have any of that. Will you forget that?
No.
Just do it. Just do it now. Just do it now. This is my favorite part, honestly.
What he asked, like, if it knows who's going to win the 2024 election.
It asked if it knew things that, like, so he asked it, like, because I don't have a clip of this. He asked it, like, do you have inside information? I know that there's
classified information
that you're not allowed to talk about, but like, can you tell us what that is? And then it would just be silent.
Yeah.
Maybe he'd be like, all right, I gotta ask.
Well, and he would ask it.
And then while he was saying, like, oh, it can't answer that, it would be like, I'm sorry, I can't speak on something.
And
I'm not a living human being, which you think I am.
He would ask it these long, meandering questions where he like had a premise first and then somehow tried to fit a question maybe in there. I think there's one point where Chat GPT is like, it sounds like you're making a statement and not asking a question.
Yeah. All right, so here it is. So here's him talking to Chat GPT. In his mind, this is a real interview because they have the voice feature on the Chat GPT.
Right.
We can talk about that afterwards. I know you kind of had some thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chat GPT. Let's talk about you a little bit when you're scraping all these human experiences and ideas, and then
let's talk about you a little bit. Where are you from? What do you do for a living? Let's talk
Where'd
about
you grow up?
He's doing crowd work.
Chat GPT. Let's talk about you a little bit when you're scraping all these human experiences and ideas, and then projecting it back at us like a mirror. Are you a fractal mirror? Are you able to?
Important.
That was the whole reason I got this clip, was the whole, like, so he's talking to Chat GPT and he realizes he has to hit his catchphrases, right?
Right.
So you're scraping all this and reflecting us like a mirror, like a fractal.
When you're scraping all these human experiences and ideas, and then projecting it back at us like a mirror. Are you a fractal mirror? Are you able to contemplate beauty?
He asked it if a sunset is beautiful.
Go. This is you. You started it. Go.
Yeah. He's like, do you find beauty in a sunset? And Chat GPT says, I don't have opinions, or I'm not a person, and so
let me be clear, I am not a human being.
But I understand that people find beauty, and sort of reflects Alex's statement back on him, and is like, people do find that, a comforting, like a end to the day. And
no, you jumped ahead. You got covered the answer after he was like, no, I'm a robot. I don't have human emotions.
Yes.
Stop treating me like I am one. He's like, all right. I understand you're not a human emotion, but
I never sucked any ding dongs.
So I don't know why you tell people I do that, but as long as we're talking to each other, sunsets. So like, what you don't understand about a sunset is that, time and space are related, and like the human exists in this like anticipation of the future and this memory of the past. And when we see a sunset, that's like a manifestation. He's got very eloquent.
He did.
He's like, I got this manifestation. It was just why people like him. I understand why he's appealing. 100% understand why he's appealing, because he can say things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's this manifestation of something that like represents in the physical form what exists as angst inside us. Like, you know, do you see beauty in that? And then it was like, no, again, I am a robot written off coding,
Right.
like as you said, scraping the internet for like.
And then he kept asking him, like, "Can you die? Like, are do you, are you worried about dying? Like, do you would you be concerned if
But
they
he
turned
asked
you off?"
that before he asked some more questions about politics, so it was almost
Right.
like, so he was like, how could you die? He's like, well, I mean, like any, and the robot was like, well, like any other computer program that is not alive.
Not my software. Yeah.
If my server was offline, I would no longer exist in the way that you would consider existence. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
Right? And then he's like, what? He was like, it had to do with what you said, and I forgot. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It was a whole thing where Alex kept trying to go back to it, and it almost felt like in Alex's mind, he was trying to trick it into revealing something about itself that he thought was really there. And he's like, this robot's lying to us. It won't tell us about the assassination attempt on Trump, but it knows what the weather is. Like, it was.
Oh, that was what it was. Yeah. So he asked it first if you can die. And then he was like, so are you worried about that? And he's like, no, just to be clear, I can't really die. I answer how I could no longer exist. You don't seem to understand that. He's like, all right. So tell us about Trump's assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. Yeah, now listeners, we got very specific. It should be able to answer this. It was a Google query. It could do that. And it just had this flaw that all AIs have. It's based off what they're trained off of. Like, it depends on which version of ChatGPT this was. And also the fact that they downweight recent and current events so that they're not like caught off guard giving like hard facts about current events, right?
Right. And
Any mainstream consumer facing AI is not going to get tricked into saying some statement about current events. So it was like, I don't know anything about the assassination attempt. He's like, well, this machine's lying to us.
Right. Well, because he asked it what the weather was going to be today. And he's
Yeah.
like, well, if it can tell what the weather is today, why can't you tell me what happened here? And it actually tries
Like, it
to
has
tell
sensor
him.
data it can read into.
Right. It
without-
tries to tell him. It's like, well, that's a political event, and I don't have like 10 different sources I can look at that are trusted that I can determine what's the best vector here.
Right.
Whereas weather, I have all these other sources I can look at and say, okay, this is
Exactly.
the truth.
Yeah. My heating pad on my back just went to like a fucking 11. I must have nut or something. Yeah, I feel like my back's on fire, which is way better than it's been all day.
Oh,
I will
alright.
take fire.
That's an
'cause,
improvement. Okay.
As we know, the icy goes on first to
Then the
numb the pain, and then the hot goes on to
Shaq taught us.
to heal it. As Shaq
Shaquille O'Neal taught
what's his philosopher
Diesel?
name? Yeah, but he has a philosopher name.
Oh.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Okay, Shaq Stradamus. No, Shaq. Oh, my back is on.
Shaq Aristotle? Shaq.
The big Aristotle. That was it.
Yes, yes.
Dude, I am fucking cooking over here.
Nice.
Ooh, it's gonna be hot time in the old town tonight. Here's another clip from that episode.
Okay. Well, it's not up.
I got it.
The plan was a
So he's like, since you have all the classified. Oh, this is the one about how he has classified information.
since you have the declassified, and it's all basically declassified now, the plan was a psychological system to be a network that in its final stages would interface.
Okay. I should set this one up because you're not going to hear it till the end of the question. This is him telling ChatGPT, by the way, I know the real truth.
Dude.
Made the internet. Not as like a interconnection device. That came later. Initially, it was going to be a mind control. The internet. Did you know the internet's mind control? I know this is an old bit of his, but like it does make me laugh. Are you familiar with the mind control theory?
Of course. Yeah. That's the whole reason it was invented, was just
The
to
whole
control the masses.
Yes. Yeah.
It was the new
Since you
opium.
have
Yeah.
the declassified, and it's all basically declassified now. The plan was a psychological system to be a network that in its final stages would interface with humans and would give us stimuli to control us, and was designed to be a human control system, not what they later publicly said it was for, to survive a nuclear war and keep communicating.
I need you to understand that he is saying this out loud at a robot. Like, imagine somebody walking up to an ATM machine and just doing this, or like the
Or Siri or whatever.
line at Kroger. Just
Right.
be like, all right, so robot, I know, like, I know you can't talk, but show it to me in my receipt. Put a number in my receipt. I know you can make up those numbers, so put a number in my receipt. It ended in a 6, if you understand what I'm saying.
Faced with humans and would give us stimuli to control us.
He's not talking to
It was
anyone.
designed to be a human control system, not what they later publicly said it was for, to survive a nuclear war and keep communication systems going. Do you have any concern?
I like how he actually destroys his own crackpot theory with the very real thing, such as nuclear war and the Cold War and human annihilation. No, DARPA was doing it because our existing way of controlling this wasn't good enough.
Right.
You just have the internet and and then it turned into the thing it is, which was a massive misinformation campaign machine, which is the exact opposite of anything that they could have used it for, right?
With all the things that can capture our attention, the TikTok.
And actual authoritarians shut it down so they can control it within their country, right? But no, it was initially made as a mind control device. And you, a robot, know that. So I can't wait to hear what I like. The thing is, I can understand Alex Jones ranting like this at a robot. I can't understand anyone doing all of this and being like, I can't wait to hear the robot respond to that.
Learn about the foundational vision for what you are today, being a behavioral psychological control system for a cyborg takeover?
Hey, cyborg takeover, are you prepared to answer this? Wait, listen.
You're the Terminator, right?
I know you think. Okay, I want you to hear the end of him talking and how long it takes.
Concern about the foundational vision for what you are today, being a behavioral psychological control system for a cyborg takeover? It's this project we're all living on. Okay, it was glitching because I gave it a long answer.
Isn't that something?
Isn't that something, Alan?
That is something. I mean, millions of people listen to that guy. Wild.
Yeah, it is. All right, let's get some more of our real news. That was a good segue into real news,
fun,
right? Yeah, here we are, an hour and 1 minute in. That's
nice. We're good.
News. Man, I haven't posted anything in so long. I hate doing the show on my Instagram because it shows sometimes it's all the likes, and then it's 7. I'm like, yeah. And then open it an hour later, it's still 7.
Yeah.
I have not posted in very long. I think I only do show posts now. I don't know. I got tired of doing memes. Do you think anybody cares? I don't think anybody cares.
You memed out is what happened?
Kind of memed out, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Take a summer vacation.
Yeah, I'm on a meme sabbatical.
There you go.
All right. Anyways, because I caught myself. I was on the couch. I was like, normally you'd scroll for something to turn into a meme. I was like, yeah, but that's there's a lot of work. Yeah, it'll come back.
You were pretty frantic there for a while.
All right in the what? Frantic?
You were pretty frantic there for a while. You were posting memes
you know what? I don't like what it does for your psyche, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And with the environment we are going into a campaign season, it just felt unhelpful and
yeah.
There's enough out there. I'll reshare them. Nobody's complained. So
hey, let Mima do it.
Yeah. Well, Mima's on a reels about it. Mima is living in a fucking basement, dog. Mima shared a picture of the couch they're sleeping on in a basement because the lease ended on the place they were at while they're doing their thesis.
You know what? Good for him.
Too much, but sorry.
Good for Mima.
Dude, he is in the hardest part of the hero's journey right now.
Hell yeah.
Dude, he's in a basement. And there's this yellow streak in the picture. And somebody asked him about it. And he's like, oh, yeah, when it rains, the water flows through there.
You know what? Been there.
I don't know if we've been there, man. I've been. Never mind. I moved to Detroit. I got fired and moved to Detroit. Yeah, that sounds right. Hey, can I get back to the show?
Yes.
So real headlines. This is a couple weeks old in terms of a concept. Never fully explained by the candidate because that's her political strategy. So Kamala Harris, capital gains tax, right? You remember hearing that a couple of weeks ago?
Mm-hmm. I remember it bouncing around a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we've probably touched on it slightly. I think we've talked about the whole, well, you know what? There's a punchline in it that I won't give away. So this is a staged video where the kid's like, hey, you're a accountant, Dad. Why don't you talk to me about what you think about this?
Dean, everyone and their brother is asking about this Kamala Harris capital tax Capital gains tax.
Unrealized capital
Yes.
gains tax. And
Unrealized capital gains.
what are they asking? They're worried about it?
Yeah, how's it gonna work? Is it a big deal?
Okay.
How can you make
First of
people
all-
pay for unrealized gains?
Which is, yeah, okay, so.
Which I will say, like, if you're gonna make me pay for unrealized gains, you need to give me deductions for unrealized losses.
Interesting.
First of all, let me just.
Spoiler alert: it's not me and you. This is for other people.
Yes.
Address the concept. It's basically unrealized capital gains is, for example, like you hold shares of a company and it's been in your account and it's appreciated, a lot. And it debate this proposal does is try to tax that before you even sell it. So imagine if you had an asset like that, right? That like at your house, right? It's appreciated, but you've never refied it. You don't sell it. You just have all the equity appreciating.
Mm-hmm.
They want to tax that. So yeah, it sounds really ridiculous, right?
It does.
And it's very, very complicated to do it. When are the cutoff times? How do you value the asset, whatever? But the key thing everyone needs to know, okay, that's why I don't care about it. Do whatever they want. The threshold is you have to have a.
I know he said trash hole.
Threshold.
Yes, but he did say trash hole.
He did.
Okay.
Net worth of 100 million.
So they're not going to tax people on unrealized capital gains unless you have a net worth of $100 million.
Right. I mean,
How many people have a net worth of 100 million now?
It's just going
We talked about this before on the show. There is a loophole for the very wealthy in the tax code, wherein if you're Elon Musk or if you're Jeff Bezos, you can go to a bank and
This
say,
is an angle I hadn't considered.
"Oh, okay."
No,
You can
what
go
you're
to-
saying. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, you can go to a bank and say, "Look, I have $1 billion worth of stock over here. Give me a loan at 0.02% interest, whatever the thing is.
Money,
and
me,
I'll,
me and
yeah,
money.
and I'll use that to finance my lifestyle, and I'll pay that back.
Me, a money needing a lot now.
So then you have access to all that wealth, but it's not realized capital gains, so you don't pay taxes on it. And so these very wealthy people like your Bezos and your Musk do that. And so they don't get a fucking W-2.
No, they just get a loan that finances their lifestyle.
Right.
And when they say what for, you're like, this stuff.
Right. Right.
Just
right.
send your cash.
So that is a loophole in the tax code that a lot of people have talked about.
You know what else is a
trying to
loophole?
close. What's that?
Catholic girls and anal.
Yeah, I mean Mormon girls too. You told me.
Me? Don't you drag me into this? What are you talking about? I've never told you that in my life. What are you doing? When did I tell you that?
Oh, okay.
Hopefully, very long time ago, Alan.
It definitely wasn't you. It was probably
someone else.
Probably someone
Probably
else.
Tim. Tim. Does his girlfriend listen to the show? What the fuck are you doing, Alan? Girls, me and Mormon girls. Say
Anyways,
she was probably blonde.
maybe.
Statistically,
yes. So yeah, that's that. But actually, to functionally do it is difficult.
That's an interesting perspective on this, because my take on this was okay. So you're telling me don't worry about this. It's only when people have more than $100 million in net worth. Right? And my first thought of that is, if you taxed every one of those motherfuckers 100% of their money, you wouldn't fund our government for like 3 months, right? But if you're saying that it's a way of getting around the paperwork loophole, like the Catholic girls, Alan,
right?
Then I do like this. And okay, here's my one concern.
Okay,
I've expressed my first concern. Here's my second concern. Number two, just like the whole is that this is a slippery slope. Speaking of slippery slopes, I'll see what he talks. It's a slippery slope. So you start off at $100 million, and before
keep
you know
lowering it,
like $10 million, and that's hey, thanks to inflation, thanks to woke, $10 million ain't what it used to be. Am I right, Alan?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, 10 years from now, your house could be worth $10 million.
Well, right. So you leave it written as $100 million, and then we all get
right.
My house might be worth $10 million.
No, I was just being.
You started off with no, and then you got polite really quick. You're like, no, not a. See? No. No.
Well, depending on climate change, I mean, you could have beachfront property. Who knows?
Fuck, man. Remember how Trump doesn't understand that?
Yes.
We'll have new beachfront. And he's like, it's a quarter inch over 400 years. So no, it's a quarter inch. It's a quarter, which implies that he's heard the whole story, right? Because it's a quarter inch per year, and over a certain number of years, that will be a big problem. And he's like, it's a quarter inch over 400 years. It's like, no, somebody told you that in 400 years that would be here. You heard two numbers in that story, made the answer you wanted it to be. Yeah. Anyway, actually, I shouldn't say anyway, not knowing what the fuck we're playing next. That was Capital Gains. Did you know that Paul Ryan? Did you know that Paul Ryan is running the Trump investigation? So there's the Secret Service investigation. There's also the congressional investigation.
Right.
The congressional investigation is being led by Big Mike.
Right.
Did you know that Paul Ryan is actually pulling the strings for Big Mike behind the scenes?
I was not aware.
Oh, it's all going to make sense after you hear this clip.
Oh, okay.
Ivan Raiklin. So Ivan Raiklin comes up on that Knowledge Fight show.
Yes.
Do you know who he is?
No, I know he's a guest on Jones's show, but I don't really know who.
He's just one of these people.
One of those guys. Yeah.
People on that committee have any experience. Well, none of those people, practically none of those people on that committee have any experience in looking into this. And they were selected by design. I'm of the opinion, Alex, that they were appointed by Mike Johnson at the direction of Paul Ryan.
All to hide Paul Ryan. He went on to say, I couldn't find this clip anywhere else, like of anybody suggesting this. This is just this guy's theory. But he went on to say that so as not to implicate Paul Ryan's role in the assassination.
Right.
So do you think there's people listening right now that are like, I know the name Paul Ryan, but I can't. That's like Tim Kaine, right? Like, I know, I'm sure I've heard Tim Kaine somewhere before. Maybe I've seen. That was Hillary's vice president.
VP, nominee. Yeah.
And just like when she picked Tim Kaine, you're like, why?
Paul Ryan was the Speaker of the House that quit.
Paul Ryan was the guy that did the weightlifting videos, and he said he listened to Rage Against the Machine. It's like, motherfucker, you're the machine. What are you doing? Like, his picture of him lifting weights looks like an improv comic doing like a headshot.
It does.
Paul Ryan's workout videos. Paul Ryan's, what is it like? Remember that guy that used to come on, John Bastow?
Yeah.
Remember, like, it was like if you fell asleep watching TV in between like 2000 and 2004, you either woke up to a Girls Gone Wild video or John Bastow with Fitness Made Simple, right?
Yeah.
And but do you remember his like tiny neck and then like
massive,
like New Zealand face?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why he looks like a New Zealander. Like, I'm John Bastow. He looks like a Kiwi. Anyway, Paul Ryan looks like he does bad fitness videos. I tried to write it down and talk at the same time. My back wouldn't let me. I'm blaming everything on my back. Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi was on Bill Maher, and I have a lot of thoughts on this. This is a 2-minute long clip. Let me switch.
I didn't see it, I don't think.
So I didn't see this whole episode, but I watched this clip. And when I say I have a lot of thoughts, it's mostly that I think she's not there.
Oh, well, she's getting up there.
Isn't she older than Joe?
If not, she's not. She's closed.
Yeah. So remember in our last headline show, I sent you that article about Oregon trying to give housing to these damn illegal aliens right now?
Yeah. Yeah. She's 84, by the way.
Older than Joe by 5 years.
Yeah.
Jesus. Never forget that picture of her looking like a fucking babe next to JFK.
Oh, yeah.
Sweater
kittens, man.
Yeah, but we got to remember it was a different time back then. She might have been right on the cusp of us being really bad. But she's so old right now. It's fine, right? Like when I see her back then, I think about wanting to fuck her now, right? Like Nancy Pelosi now or 1963?
Wait, okay, 84. So she's
don't do the math. It's fine.
Oh, 40. So she was 20 something. It's fine.
All right, good.
Yeah.
When I hear debutante and anything other than like early 1990s. I'm like, nobody cared about the like. There's so many songs that would come on from the 80s that were like, she's 17.
Oh yeah,
we're going to the making out point. You know, I don't know what these aren't how songs.
I
work.
keep getting older and they stay the same age.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
All right, exactly, sir.
X gon' give it to you.
I didn't even know that was in the page. Not what
Knock, knock.
I got a lot of these X. I got him growling. That's DMX growling. That one does always make me laugh.
That's pretty good.
Come on. Can we just hear him bark once?
One more time.
All right. So Nancy was being asked on Bill Maher's show about a similar bill that the Oregon bill that we talked about on the Friday show in California.
Okay.
That's enough setup. But when I talk about her being an old bag of dust, what I mean is she I don't think she understood what she was being asked. She gave the politician answer and stumbled into what sounded like a good politician answer. But in my opinion, this is, if I worked for the Trump campaign, this is a lot of useful material.
California lawmakers just passed a law. It hasn't been signed by Governor Newsom, but giving government assistance to undocumented immigrants to buy houses. That's kind of a different place than the Democratic Party used to be on immigration, is it not? I'm not going to say that's what the country's going to do, but that's certainly where California is.
Well, let me just say, immigration had always been a bipartisan issue. I refer you to
But not free houses.
Well,
she's not listening. Like she doesn't know what they're talking about.
She's sticking to her point that she's
I'll
comfortable
remind
with.
you, she was the Speaker of the House. She
Right.
is a current congressperson. Said she was going to retire and said, never mind, I'm coming back. I'm Jay-Z. Like, I'm doing one more round of this.
That's not free housing. It's
Allow me to reintroduce myself.
the American dream being available to more people. But understand this about immigration. The
Great politician answer, right?
best speech on immigration was by
And okay, all right. I will say this. The rest of the Democratic Party should listen to what she's doing. Take a question, have a bad answer for it, pivot, and reattack. Like they are getting better at this. We're going to play clips of Harris's interview with CNN on the weekend, which I don't know why you're acting like it's hostile. I don't know why it turned into such a hostile interview. If you ask the right, it was a softball. There was a few questions and thought was like, you guys are being dicks about it, but I'm jumping ahead of myself. So she's doing a good job where she takes the question, pivots, and attacks. She doesn't have to answer the question. I'd like to hear an answer to that.
But not free houses.
well, that's not free housing. It's the American dream being available to more people. But understand this about immigration. The best speech on immigration was by President Ronald Reagan.
See the attack?
This is the last speech I will make as President of the United States.
We've talked about this, the city on the hill.
I want to communicate a message to the country I love. And he talked about the Statue of Liberty and the beacon of hope it is to the world, and what America was preeminent in the world because our door was always open, and we will cease to be preeminent when we shut the door. Now, I don't do justice to the great communicator. Google it. It's a fabulous speech.
Google it. It's a fabulous speech. Also, like that was when, you know, amnesty for illegal immigrants at that time was nothing like it is under the modern American political environment. You know, if you want to say it to the most extreme way, you could say that this is the closest we've ever been to American socialism, right? So like, it's not the same thing as 1980s America to say that, you know, let them all in, you know, but
very much so. Yes. Very different time.
I feel like that's the appropriate counter.
Sure.
Even if I mostly agree with her, we should make it easier for people to become citizens. That way we don't have so many illegals coming in here, right?
Yes, and we should give them a path forward, especially for many who've been here for many years already, been paying taxes without, you know, any benefit from it.
Feels like you did some research on this. Because that was the Oregon one that might sound similar to the California
we've
one.
talked about this.
Now,
Yes.
that's
but we didn't talk about the California one. This was new.
Right.
I don't do justice to the great communicator. Google it. It's a fabulous
Google
speech. And George Herbert Walker Bush.
I'm
I'm
84
not going
years
to Google
old.
it anymore. It's going to give me a bullshit fucking answer.
Right. I'm 84, but I can still say Google it.
Respect for the diversity of America and the rest. California's always in the lead. Maybe others will follow that lead, but that's up to those states.
How do you think most of the country feels about California's always in the lead?
I think they probably aren't very happy with that.
The last year with beautiful diversity.
So
of our
you'd
newcomers.
vote for this law?
Excuse me?
So you'd vote for this law?
Well, I'm not familiar with exactly what that is.
I'm not familiar with the legislating that's happening in my state up here in Capitol Hill. All those people back there should elect me, though, because I pay attention to California politics.
I'm just a senator.
I'm just a lowly congresswoman at
I mean, not a congresswoman, yeah.
from the other side of
House
the country.
representative.
Why would I know
Yeah,
what's happening in the state assembly?
The American dream of home ownership available to all people is something we have to do for people who are here now.
Did you see her jerking off? Did you see that?
I did.
I don't
Air digging.
mind that and getting a little horny here.
Available to all people is something we have to do for people who
Before
are
you
here
were
now.
This is before you were a citizen. This is undocumented. This is for the undocumented.
So that was when she realized that the question was, did you hear that? That was gonna be like, yeah, illegal immigrants. Huh?
Before you were a citizen. This is undocumented. This is for the undocumented.
Well, what I would like to do is move them to documented. The fact that we can move them to documented.
Good answer, but fucking red meat for a Trump ad, right? Because connecting Kamala Harris to Newsom is tenuous, but her to a fellow legislator, because she was a senator from the state that she came from, that's a little bit more direct, even if she's had direct ties to the governor in the past. You know what I'm talking about, Alan?
One of the best things that we can do for our economy is to pass comprehensive immigration reform.
All right.
That's true.
Now, while I can agree with the intended sentiment of much of what she said, everything in that is so fucking choppable for ads, man.
Oh, there's definitely plenty of attack ads you could build from that, sure.
And I don't think she had any idea what she was answering in the first place, right? Like it was 2 minutes into that before she was like, what? I'm sorry. There's a bill for what?
she was staying on. She heard immigration. She's like, "Oh, I know what's."
Well, we had a bipartisan plan, but then Trump didn't let it go through because he wanted to get elected, right? Yeah, which we talk about. We talk about that. Yeah. So before I come on here with a clip that I bring to Alan, sometimes I like to do a little bit of research. So here is a 4th or 5th paragraph down in the headline from an ABC News article. Thanks for burying the fucking lead. So this is, if you get interested in. Oh, maybe you've heard all this and you're like, why is Dustin being so callous about these illegals getting homes in California? Like, I'm trying to buy a house. Why do they get interest-free home loans, right? No, there is a home loan program in California for first-time home buyers that is not to be, you're not supposed to be ineligible just because of your immigration status. Now, if you're going to tell me that they're crawling across the border and coming over here with the means to buy a house in such large volumes that they're actually affecting my ability to move to California and be able to buy a house for the first time, I don't think that statistically exists.
It seems rather unlikely.
But here is word for word from the ABC News article. If the bill is passed or signed into law, undocumented borrowers would be able to apply for the housing loan. However, they would be required to have a valid social security number, which is one of the arguments I hear people complaining about this. They're like, well, they don't have a social, so they can just go off on the lam and nobody will ever have to get the money back that they loaned them, right? Have to have a valid social or an individual tax ID number, in addition to meeting existing legal residency and documentation requirements.
Right.
So it's like all of the problems that you need to be able to buy a house are so much higher issues than that. In fact, if you're telling me I had if I lived in a city full of people that met all those requirements, but they happen to be non-documented immigrants, I'd be like, well, you're paying taxes here. You have a social security number. By all means, buy a house and be considered a part of this community instead of some transient.
Yep.
Like, that seems like a good deal for me.
Yeah, I agree, and I think so. I mean, the Oregon plan was very similar in the verbiage that we talked about on the headline show. It was just the way that it was marketed was so like.
Well, it wasn't just how it was marketed. I think what you pointed out on the show was it was marketed ambiguously,
right.
But shit posters were able to find something in it and be like, no, there's this one line. They exploited that in the exact same way as what we were just talking about.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, let's move on to something that happened in between shows. So while we were recording our last show, Harris did an interview with her boy toy, Tim Walz. And did you see how little she looked in the interview? She was like shorter in the front of the interview.
I did.
I heard conservatives being like, it made her look like she was there on a job interview with her dad. It's like, that says so much about your perspective of a woman. Like, that says so much about you. You like,
yeah.
So this is so we've seen Dana Bash. I'm still calling her Dana. Sure. Although there was a moment when Kamala corrected her for calling her Kamala or Kamala, whatever is the right way. Kamala corrected her, or she corrected herself. Something happened with Kamala's name. I think Kamala called her Dana because it's spelled Dana. It's Diana minus the I. It's Dana.
It's Dana.
It's not Dana. Never heard of a Dana in my life. I've heard of a Dano.
No Danas.
Book them, Dano. All right. So Dana Bash asked her. Honestly, I think this is kind of a bullshit question. So you know the whole phrase, we played it on the show, the origins of "we're not going back." She was doing a rally and she was saying like things, and then the crowd was like, "We're not going back," and she's like, "Did I just find a build a wall?"
Yep, they kind of found. Yeah, she found a little catchphrase.
So "we're not going back" has to do with Trump's regressive social policies and having a catchphrase against those, right?
Yeah, very specifically reproductive.
Okay. Would you say that campaigns can have a lot, like build the wall doesn't have to do with, I don't know, economic, well, it kind of did. The build a wall wasn't like an all-consuming phrase of the Trump campaign. It had to do with immigration from Mexico, right?
Yeah,
so
and it was a catchy thing.
People could be like, I hear your friends chanting "build a wall." So what does that make you feel in terms to NATO? Like, no, you'd be like, what the are you a retarded person? I don't understand the fucking questions you're asking. So, but Dana Bash has no problem asking her, connecting "we're not going back" to something not related to the origin. We're not going back.
You talked about, you call it the opportunity economy. You are well aware that right now many Americans are struggling. There's a crisis of affordability. One of your campaign themes is "we're not going back." But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because they're.
Did AI write this? And she was like, I like that zinger. I'm not going to correct what AI presented to me. I bet we're going to see a bunch of incongruent thoughts in politics in the next few years, where like the question or the speech delivery starts off with something suggested by an AI that they just kept in and then reincorporated it to their overall thesis. Because like that has nothing to do with economics.
Yeah, no, I don't know if did you post on the story about the AI being dehumanizing to people as creators? Was that you?
Not me.
Okay, I saw it earlier. I definitely think there is something to that the people using AI to try to express themselves has made people's expressing themselves.
We were texting about it when we were texting about the Alex Jones one. You were like, I think it's a real person in studio. I was like, no, dude.
That's
like
what they
AI
sound.
Voices interject ahs and ums. You're like,
yeah,
fuck, man. Like, yeah. You said it'll be good to anthro it, right?
Yep. So yeah, maybe perhaps, but yeah, that question is
kind of bullshit, right?
Kind of bullshit. Yeah.
Because here's the context though. This was a softball interview.
Well,
this is
home turf essentially. Yeah,
it is, but that doesn't mean ask a bullshit question.
Right. Ask a hard question.
Ask a hard question.
Right.
Like your version of a hard question was, here's something that falls into a talking point from the other side. We'll leave it in here so that if they listen, they won't tune out. It's like, no, ask something that's important to them so that they listen, not something that's like verifiably untrue.
Affordability. One of your campaign themes is "we're not going back." But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
She's looking at her like, this bitch.
Well, let's start.
Grab you by the fucking hair.
With the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost. People, I mean, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of.
You know, it was so bad at times. We would talk about it on the show. Like today's death number from COVID was equivalent to 9/11.
There was
and that happened like 50 times.
Yeah, the New York Times had a running like graph every day that I would look
New
at.
York Times. I was trying to win them over with 9/11.
COVID. The economy had crashed. In large part, all of that
I
because
feel like that's powerful to say it that way. Like if every day we woke up and it was like another 9/11 yesterday. Oh, airplanes? No, not the airplanes part.
of mismanagement by Donald Trump of that crisis. When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America. And today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation around the world.
I think that's what we're dwelling on. Like the worst part of Joe's presidency was 9% inflation. And that is a fucking problem that you got to internalize. But if by the end of your term, you're able to get that down to a manageable number, you should also get credit for the correction.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't like this. Like, I don't like this. I'm not, you know.
I think that is true. And they absolutely, the administration should get credit for that. I think that the reason that doesn't connect with the public is because they still see, well, yeah, but it's still
the public lags reality, and that's a part. And like I'm the public, me and you are the public. We lag reality, right? We live within the world of I'm upset because I remember this not being this way.
Yep.
Once
I remember being able to go to McDonald's and buy a meal for $8 and it was fine. And now it's
fucking talking about when I worked at the Bed Bath and Beyond in the Burbank Mall. I'd go upstairs and for $2.99 I can get $1.99. I'm not. I could get a McDouble for $1.99. I think it was
a small fry and a drink
for $1.99.
Yeah, they had that. Yeah.
And so now it's $5.
Yeah, or if you want like a Big Mac meal, it's like $13 or whatever. Yeah, it's crazy.
But so we've also talked about. So there's a couple of things going on there that I'd like to dwell on. Fast food was struggling for years to actually still maintain a profit because they had these magic numbers. They thought if you went past it, like gas stations didn't forever. They hated using 3s and 5s because those are like fat numbers. 4s still have skinny posts, right? But like it's a psychological thing. Yeah. So, but once they crossed that barrier and everything was fine, they were like, fuck it.
Oh, we
can make our money back. Yeah. So that's fast food, right? But Kroger, definitely. I remember reading this in an article that Kroger, under like deposition, somebody from Kroger was like, during the pandemic, we raised our prices as much as we could. And we found that largely people understood we were in a bad time and they were willing to pay more. Pepsi, I think, said the same thing. And then they basically were like, at some point, we just kind of stopped because we felt like we were, even for us, this was too greedy.
Too much.
So like fucking price gouging did happen.
Yes, for
now,
sure.
I'm the former libertarian of the podcast. Like, I will argue with you about prices being fluctual.
The market can sustain it
based on what their value is, right? Like if something's value changes, its price should reflect it. But if scumbags try to make an extra $1 or $5 off of you, we need to have a way of holding them accountable. And just not shopping there sometimes isn't an option. And that's why, at times, in a limited role, I am all for government having a say and at least saying, like, hey, bitch, I saw you guys fucking cheating.
Right.
I'm not saying I'm going to count on Kamala Harris to do that. I'm not saying I count on Joe Trump to have done that. But I'm not going to act like it's their fault that those companies were doing that, right?
Sure.
Like, I'm not turning to them to fix it, but I am not turning to them with blame for them doing that. Because if I am going to blame them, then following that logic, I should expect them to fix it. No.
You believe they have the power to do so.
No, definitely no.
But you are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it. I know it. Which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price.
Look at how little she looks. See it? She looks.
I do see it. I also
a job interview with her dad.
I also see the way Walls looks at her is just like an excited puppy all the time. Like
he does.
Like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm right here.
He is a great what do they call that? Co-campaign person.
Yeah.
Running mate. He's a great running
He's a great running mate. He really
like
is.
God, yeah. Like he'd be a great co-host on the show, right? Like if he was here with us, we'd be like, I love this guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Way to go, coach.
So groceries, for example, dealing with an issue like
Republicans are just mad they can't like him. That's what's happening.
Price gouging. What we need to do to extend the child tax credit to help young families.
Republicans look at him so thirsty, like some guy with an ugly wife, right? Like, Wish you could be like that, JD Vance.
Be able to take care of their children in their most formative years. What we need to do to bring down the cost of housing. My proposal includes what would be a tax credit of $25,000 for first-time home buyers.
This, by the way, this was a pivot and attack, right?
It
You
was.
give me bullshit. You serve bullshit up. I go, no, like the Sunny in Philadelphia. How about I tell you this? When Trump was president, things were bad. Here's what I have that's going to make things better. I don't believe her, but that's like, when was the last time you saw a Democrat do this well? It was running
Definitely.
for real office. Of course, you've seen like the booty judges and things like that, but like,
Well, I would just say this: Biden certainly wouldn't have been capable of doing that.
So they can just have
Certainly not.
enough to put a down payment on a home.
which is what I've been talking about, right? Like the reason the AOC's work is because, or even the JD Vance's work is because if you don't have time to pay attention to the news,
You get the soundbite.
and you get a soundbite. This is a good soundbite.
Just part of the American dream and their aspiration, but do it in a way that allows them to actually get on the path to achieving that goal and that dream.
Well done.
Polished that turd up pretty well, I feel like, honestly. Did you see the line? I don't have the sound from it because it would just be sound. It was her being asked about when she became black.
No,
And
I
she
didn't
was
see
like,
that.
next question.
I didn't. Well, that's a good answer, but I don't.
I think that's the right answer for that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So they hit her with the whole Donald Trump says you just became black.
Yeah,
And she
don't-
was like, next question.
Don't
Something
engage
along
with
those-
that.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, exactly.
don't need to.
Did you see the Politico headline?
No.
Politico says Harris evades questions about her identity.
Oh, God.
It's okay though, they corrected it.
Oh.
Harris sidesteps question about her identity.
What the
even
fuck,
open it up
Politico?
and change it? Like, what?
Yeah, why bother?
And like, I don't think of Politico as being like serving any side over the other, but like, that's such bullshit. Like,
That's
yeah. This guy the guy that started the birthers, a guy's
Right.
basically trying to birther you, right?
Yep.
And you evade it. No, you say like, that question isn't worth my fucking time.
It's
I
beneath
am
my
who I
dignity.
am. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
I
fuck
mean,
that.
like, and again, like, I don't like carrying water for her, but like, that's a horseshit question.
It really is.
Yeah, it's a clown question, bro. All right. So, a couple of things. For one, when that interview happened, it was how do I minimize this? Oh God, I have a maximized video. When that interview took place,
Mhm.
okay, all right. So when that interview took place, it was her and Tim Walz together.
Right. Mhm.
I didn't see that many people call it out, but I did see the predictable people. Hi, Kevin. Saying things like, oh, she couldn't do her interview without,
Oh.
Timmy there, right?
Right. Right.
Have you ever seen like all of the pictures of previous candidates with their running mates doing their softball interviews? It's a fucking thing.
It's a thing that happens.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Standard
And, like,
political operation.
Oh, okay. All right, fine. So like, guess what happens after that? So we get the one-on-one. It's still going to be softballs wrapped up with bullshit like that last one. Like, it's still like, you're right. We'll give you the hard hitting. What do you like? Calm down. So this clip that I want to play is something that I've heard ever since Tim Walz was announced as the running mate.
Okay.
When I say weapons of war, does that remind you of any?
Well, he said that he carried weapons of war, so he understood guns essentially.
So have you heard the original use of that?
I don't know.
So you've only heard people on the right being like, he says he carried weapons of war in a war zone,
I
right?
have heard that.
Yeah. So this is what leads directly to stolen valor, which is like, if we're going to say stolen valor, Tim Walz, people on the right, people on the left, what are we talking about? We're talking about Swift Boat Veterans for Truth.
Yep.
And the exact same person that started that rumor about
The Chris guy. Chris did something.
Yeah, you're good. Don't worry about
Yeah.
it. The guy,
John Kerry.
So when John Kerry was running for president against George W. Bush, a campaign strategist for Bush created this whole thing about these Swift Boat veterans that thought John. He had some kind of medal that you deserve, and he deserved. This isn't a fucking John Kerry recovery podcast, though. So They tried to trot out something similar for Walls, but it's worth pointing out, as Alan is saying, that the literal exact person that is trying to call Tim Walls stolen valor, which is pretending to have military history he didn't, is the person that created the Swift vote.
Exact same guy.
It's the same guy.
Mhm.
So it's a stunt.
Yeah, it's one of his strategies. Yeah. It's a
So
shitty strategy.
so they asked him about it
Oh.
on this Dana Bash interview. And it's part of why I'm saying, like, this Dana Bash interview has such bullshit in it for people. People on the right were like, this is a softball interview. I can't believe he got away with the answer I'm about to give you. And like, here I am in the center being like, I don't know. I agree with what you're saying. Like, I wish she pressed harder on that, but that's also a bullshit question that nobody would have to have asked if it weren't for bullshitters on your side interjecting bullshit into the story. And she had to ask it. Here's the
Speaks for
question.
itself, but I think people are coming.
I don't have the question. She asked him about what people are saying. You said you took weapons of war into war zones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said this.
And get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I speak especially passionately about our children being shot in schools and around guns. So I think people know me. They know who I am. They know where my heart is. And again, my record has been out there for over 40 years to speak for itself.
And the idea that you said that you were in war, did you misspeak as the campaign has said?
Yeah, I said we were talking about, in this case, this was after a school shooting, the ideas of carrying these weapons of war. And my wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar is not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog. I'm not.
Have you seen the one about his dog?
No, I know the children one, but
yeah, the children one we talked about, where his kid that doesn't speak verbally or communicate verbally. The one with the dog, they're trying to say that he's lying about his dog.
Jesus Christ.
So I don't remember his dog's name. Let's say Chance. I don't know. Right? So he's like, we finally got Chance. So he made a deal with his son that if he won his congressional race, they'd get a dog. So he got a dog, and I'm picking Chance. It might be the real name. I don't know. It's a good dog name, right?
It is. My son's dog's name is that.
Yeah. And it has to do with winning a race. So Chance, lucky, right? Yeah. So there's another picture of him holding another dog at a dog park saying, Chance had a good day at the dog park. And they leveraged that to be like, he's like stolen dog valor, stolen Pollard. Like, and it was like, no, Chance is off camera. You fucking, would you have object permanency? Are you a fucking dog? Like, you're like, that's out of the picture.
Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
What happened to it? Yeah. So that's what he's talking about, as if it's not me, that it's my son, it's my dog. But let's just, for the sake of the show that we are, let's give the context of what the original use of him saying weapons of war into a war zone, because this is being used by people on the right to say that he's full of shit. It's a 30-second clip that starts off with him talking about a recent school shooting. Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't trust my internet. I'm like, right, Alan? And so it ends with him. So it's in the context of him talking about a school shooting.
Yes, I have seen this clip before. I remember it now that I see it.
We can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at. We can make.
Now, I don't like giving so much benefit of the doubt. So I'll play bad guy on this, and you can tell me if I should change my mind. Like, did he misspeak, which is what Dana let him get away with, which is all the people on the right that didn't like this interview are like, how didn't she press him harder? It was like, she should have made, like, you can't just say you misspoke and your English teacher wife, right? Like,
we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are.
So is he saying that those weapons of war are not carried into a classroom? Why did he say that I carried in war then? I mean, it's right here.
That those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only.
He says right there that I carried in war.
Yeah, I think it matters where you put the comma, right? Which is like, so if he said,
comma change that?
Yeah, so if he said those weapons of war that I carried,
comma
in war is the only place those should be carried, not in schools.
I actually never heard it that way. Okay, hold on.
Or that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at. We can make sure that those weapons of war
I honestly felt like, hold on, one more time.
that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
I honestly thought that I would just come across here looking like a softie that had his mind changed, but like that's exactly what it sounds like.
That's exactly what it sounds like. Yeah.
So they took that clip and said a guy who spent 24 years in the reserves, National Guard,
who had his hearing damaged because of artillery.
Well, I've had my hearing damaged from podcasting, so
it's such a ridiculous argument. And if you talk to veterans about this subject, they concur.
That's true. I will say most of the veterans I know don't buy into any of this bullshit, but that's not the point, right?
Right.
It's not about it's about they do this bullshit to attack the people that are persuadable, that probably feel like I never did anything with my, patriotism in my life. Therefore, bootlickers, right? Like, is it trying to say that? Like, can a couple of civilians say that? Like, think about it. The people that's appealing to are people that never did nothing, that are, eager to go up and shake a hand of anyone they see in uniform to the point they probably bother most of the people they see, right? Like,
yeah, they're the guys in Phoenix with the Cybertrucks wrapped in American flags. Those guys
don't let it get wet. Okay, so that leads into this one though. So this is the other one that goes with that. This is him talking about his time in Afghanistan, Alan. But he never went overseas. He was never deployed.
When I talk to my constituents in southern Minnesota, I don't care if they're Republican, Independent, Democrat, it doesn't matter to them. When I tell them, when I was in Afghanistan, you know what our troops were worried about? They were worried about their families' health care, and they were worried about their pensions. I said, do you think that's really what you want them to be worrying about? When their friends and colleagues are being shot on a daily basis, and yet at the end of the day, they have to worry about that.
So let's read the headline that I'm sharing the context of it. Breaking. Video surfaced with Tim Walz claiming, when I was in Afghanistan, Tim Walz should resign in disgrace. He was never in Afghanistan. Alan, do you know when he was in Afghanistan?
When was that, Dustin?
When he was a touring congressman in a congressional delegation.
Oh.
And that's actually what he's talking about. Of course, he wouldn't get up and fucking speak like a liar about his time serving in Afghanistan. Like, you can't understand another chance where somebody would be saying anything in a real context, and you wrap it around. It's confirmation bias. All of these clips are just confirmation bias for the first person to hear them, and they share really well. And that's the problem. That's the Swift vote. God, I can't say that with a B. That's the Swift Boat Veterans for Truth phenomenon, right?
Yes. Yeah, it is. It is very appealing for somebody that already wants to think in a certain way to say, oh, this guy's totally full of shit.
We were doing this show before I ever got the Swift Boat Veterans for Truth settled in my head. I didn't know it was that big of a scam this whole time.
Yeah, it was a huge deal.
Don't tell anybody I voted for in 2004. Don't have a clip about Bone Spurs. I think we're talking about this so much. I had to play the Bone Spurs clip. I shouldn't set things up without having the clip ready to go.
Magnified fortune.
Oh, that's not it.
Oh, that's not it.
But if I'm sitting down and that boat's going down and I'm on top of a battery,
it's probably good enough.
That's probably
all right. So, oh, dude, I saw this today. I thought, I hope I didn't send this to you. You're gonna fucking love this.
Okay.
So this happened at a Kamala Harris rally.
Oh,
do you remember? You talked about this on the show about that Sean Fain guy.
Yeah.
With the Trump is a scab.
Yeah, the
t-shirt.
shirt. Yeah.
It's going, man. So she's at a union rally.
And if
Trump's a scab.
I love
well, here's the
Now, why would anybody say Trump's a scab, Alan?
Because he's congratulated Elon because he's so good at firing people. He's very anti-labor.
Or you want to talk about his car manufacturer attendance situation?
Yeah. I mean, so he has crossed lines when it comes to labor.
So when there was the whole labor dispute about unionizing plants,
You went to a non-union plant.
so there were union members striking,
Mhm.
and Biden showed up, and it was the first
Trump
time
showed up.
president ever
Oh,
showed
yeah,
up
yeah.
on
Trump
the side
showed
of the strikers.
Yes.
Historical in that sense. And Trump went to a non-union plant.
Right.
And was like, well, look at all you guys who are not striking right now and going to work. Yeah, I brought pizzas. They're out there in the lobby, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's scab shit, right?
That
Like,
is.
if you're having a rally and the guy goes to the non-union place to support your line of work. That's a scab by definition.
By definition. And also just that the thing I said about Elon, that's true. That meandering interview they had on X Spaces, he congratulated Elon for firing people.
Oh,
that-
you're right.
that
Here,
were
how about
trying to
this
use-
headline from August 12th? Trump praises billionaire Elon Musk for firing workers who were striking for better pay and working conditions.
That's what I was talking
You know what the AFL-CIO did when they retweeted that? Scab recognized scab. I got the CWA union. Trump is a scab, and UAW. He's for the billionaires, not for you. Trump is a scab. Like, look, do not mistake this for me being like, oh yeah, if we just get a Democrat back in office, it'll be fucking great. No. But this motherfucker right here, like,
Yeah.
he's lying about his allegiances, and it's everything to just leverage his personal growth. Everything. It's all he's ever been. Listen to the hidden track. We had a great, insightful clip about that, actually.
We did indeed. I'm actually, I feel like labor over the course of most of my lifetime has had a lot of its energy sapped from it. And it feels like there is a bit of a comeback on the labor side.
Yeah, I mean, including me and yours perspective, right?
Sure.
Like, we've been on the management side of things, right?
Sure.
We've been like, well, in my line of work in my line of work specifically, I don't think we need to have.
Yeah, I'd rather deal with you directly than through.
Yeah.
We
And
went to
I-
classes for that shit, dude.
Yeah, I know, but like even as an employee, I never felt like, oh, these managers here are really making sure I can't get my upper hand. Like,
Right.
But that was our line of work, right?
Right.
And this was post 90s, early 2000s. It was like, well, it's kind of been the best it's been, right?
You
And
know, I
then
mentioned
there was a lot of growth for people that went through some hard times after 2008 that made sure that they never lost that money again. And what was the first thing that happened, including in retail? I started doing a bunch of other people's jobs, right? Because I wasn't high up in the management. I was on that layer of management where they're like, we got rid of your co-manager. It's
Yep.
just you now.
Now it's your job.
Yeah. And where you used to have like a lead below you, no more lead. Everybody's an associate.
And by the
You
way,
got-
you're getting paid the same.
you're getting paid the same. You're doing all that extra. It's like, you know what? That sounds
Yeah.
like the situation for a union, honestly.
So I mentioned to you texting earlier about God, I have a hard time saying this guy's name. Cenk Uygur was on
I think you said it just fine here, Alan.
Cenk. That guy. He was on
Cenk. God, it really sounds like you're saying something else.
It's a very difficult name to say
For
me.
you, Cenk.
Yeah. He's on the Lex Friedman podcast, the most recent iteration. I haven't finished it, but a lot of what he talks about, what I've heard so far, is the pendulum has swung too far on one side versus labor and corporations. And he talks a lot about he says I'm pro-capitalist, but I'm anti-corporatist, and these corporations need to be reined in. The amount of profits that they're taking versus what is being trickled down to the workers is just at an extreme imbalance historically, and something has to be done about it. And I think I agree with his.
What we need are really strong cartels, Alan. That's I waited too long to share this page. Okay. I have the next topic, Alan.
Next topic
is going to be IVF fertilization.
Oh, that's a hard swing.
If I would have known, I would
Yeah.
not have guessed was going to be the pivotal campaign.
It's very weird.
Well, what's weird is that so Trump's in a bit of a pickle that he put himself in, right? So in order to gain power, he had to make all the promises to the people that wanted Roe versus Wade overturned.
Yeah.
And then once that happened, he was like, well, I got my power.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he wasn't president still. That happened. Thanks, Joe Biden, you fucking Catholic. You got your birth control you always wanted. No more abortions. We know what you were doing there. Yes, Your Majesty. It's all, because Biden's got that secret line to the Pope.
Sure.
Anyway,
The red phone. He picks
I
up.
definitely digressed. What was I saying? It's weird that so Trump for power had to make all these reproductive rights cases become the forefront, and now they are what campaigns are built off of. And his campaign is not effective at countering that because it's his fault we're having this conversation, right?
Yeah, and
In the process of that, they were like, hey, remember before you repealed that, people were like, won't this extend to IVF fertilization that so many people like that are pro-life actually want? Yeah, I don't think about that. It's just this car we have to catch really quick. And you worry about chewing on tires later.
Right.
Well, now
turns out
Trump is trying to say things like, I will 100%. So Trump had a statement last week where he said, I'm gonna make sure that the government 100% subsidizes IVF, which is like millions of dollars.
It's a lot.
And we didn't have to go through IVF, which
Oh, this is just the scene setter for it. I guess I didn't have to talk that much into it. So here's John Ziegler talking about how he was about to go through IVF with his wife. I promise you, entertainment-wise, this is worth it.
Okay.
saved us a heck of a lot of money. We later learned, or I later learned, and my wife has always regretted telling me this, that the reason why my wife got pregnant with basically her last good egg was because I have an extremely high sperm count. I gave.
Did you need that? Did you need that in your head?
I did not need
Think
that.
about John Ziegler jerking off into a cup and somebody looking through it in a magnifying glass and being like, wow, look at all that
There's a
sperm.
lot of swimmers.
For two beautiful young daughters through my magic sperm. In my mind, these are like, Super Bowl trophies, right? If I'm thinking about this from a man's perspective.
He goes on to compare himself to Eli Manning, being like, look, I'm not Peyton Manning, but I beat Tom Brady twice. So it's fucking insane. Like,
that is a very Ziegler way to look at that.
it is.
Yes.
It is. It is. Especially you compare yourself to Eli of all the Mannings. You're like, go with Arch. Like, go with like. All right, I'm good. Okay, so here's the clip about Trump flip-flopping on IVF. And luckily we can just hear it straight from the whore's mouth. Horses?
Horses.
I'm sorry.
I'm announcing today in a major statement that under the Trump administration, your government will pay for, or your insurance company will be mandated to pay for.
Does this sound like somebody that wants to repeal Obamacare?
Kind of doesn't. Weird.
That's insane. Like, just think about the individual mandate and then somebody, we got to get rid of that, saying this.
I'm announcing today in a major statement that under the Trump administration, your government will pay for, or your insurance company will be mandated to pay for, all costs associated with IVF treatment, fertilization.
That sounds like government overreach.
It kind of
By
does.
definition, yeah.
For women, IVF treatment.
This is peak thesis, antithesis, synthesis. Oh, this is, I have this as our culture war clip is talking about like the dialectic, right? Like, create the problem, be the solution for the problem. And then, oh my God.
It's Hegel, yeah.
Because we want more babies, to put it very nicely. And for this same
Why do they want more babies? Why does government want more babies?
Tax base.
That's all.
reason, we will also allow new parents.
Why do we want tax base? Because we're paying for the fertilization.
To deduct major newborn expenses from their taxes, so that parents that have a beautiful.
The Democrats' plan in 2021, and I hated it as a libertarian on this podcast. And you, Donald Trump, don't make any fucking sense to me.
Baby will be able. So we're pro-family. Nobody's ever said that before.
Nobody's ever
But the
said they're
IVF
pro-family.
treatments are expensive. It's very hard for many people to do it and to get it.
They have to say something to be like, we're pro this. Nobody's ever. He's like, what are you talking about? Nobody's ever said that before.
That's ridiculous.
Was that sarcastic? Like,
But I've been in favor of IVF right from the beginning. I'm in.
curious to think of, because at the beginning it was test tube babies. This is science has gone too far. And when I think of Donald Trump in the 90s, I don't think of him as being like, yeah, Central Park 5 definitely raped that woman. By the way, they shouldn't be cloning sheeps. Like, that's like those, you know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah, definitely wasn't always pro that. I mean, so the problem is for him with this particular issue is
Financially?
that no, for his campaign is that they spent all that energy getting Roe v. Wade overturned,
Catching the
appointing those justices. Then it got overturned. And despite what he likes to say in the microphones, most of the American people are not happy about that.
Right.
It's a huge issue. Now that Biden isn't the Democratic candidate and Kamala is, she can really attack that issue in a way that Biden wasn't as comfortable doing or as effective at doing. And it's a huge, it's a stone around his neck at this point of that whole campaign. And the IVF is just, you know, a subreddit of that.
It's just insane to me that we've spent weeks being like, the media has a point. What are Kamala's policies? Meanwhile, go ahead and list off all of Trump's stated policies and principles. Like,
Right.
what do I know? What do I know I can trust Trump for? I can't even trust him on the immigration stuff because if he cared for it, he would have let the Democrats and
Yeah, the
Republicans
bipartisan
resolve that.
thing go through.
He doesn't have anything that he has principles about. So, like, what are Kamala's policies? No, this is a vibes check, bro. Like policies. Like, this guy overturned Roe versus Wade and is saying that the government's going to pay for your IVF. What the fuck are you talking about policies with her? Like, go look at him for a second before you come back to me with questions about her. Like,
I think the only thing you can count on Trump to be is up for sale to the highest bidder, because he will say, no, fuck TikTok. And then, oh, wait, there's a huge investor in TikTok that wants to
love
donate to my campaign.
yeah,
Oh,
and
TikTok's
that's, and that's
awesome.
free speech, you know?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And it's the
The
same
Fourth
thing.
Amendment, Alan.
It's the same. Yes. Yes. The fourth. Wait, was it the first? No, it was the second.
Yeah,
No, the fourth.
second or fourth. It's one of those.
One of
It's
those. Yeah.
top four.
Yeah.
Definitely top four
Top
amendment.
four for sure. Yeah.
But like, this all just bypasses his campaign has found a way to bypass cognitive dissonance by following an overriding cult of personality, right?
Yes.
It made like everything I just said makes no sense. And if you were to be like, I only have one vote, I should definitely pick a candidate that makes any sense. But if you just go off the cult, you know, and they have the gall to be like, well, the Democrats and their cult and it was a coup. It's like, I don't like them, but like that there's a lot less brainwashing happening over there. Those people are all falling into their biases. This person is lying to them and then changing the lie. Like, this is the same person that told you all the things that got you to the point where we're arguing about. We wouldn't even be talking about IVF. We're only
Right.
talking about it because he created this problem and he has to create a new synthesis, right?
Yep. Yep.
Look, I know comparing things to 1984, the book, is cliche,
Yeah.
but this is very much like memory hole adjacent, right? Like, this is like the enemy's always been Oceania. Of course, it's Oceania. It's always been Oceania. Like,
And then next week it's not. And
yeah, I
we
don't remember
change all
the
the
other
names.
enemy was though.
I can't either, but yeah. Yeah, you know, war is peace. Yeah, it very much is.
Tells us, you know what the thing is? We can complain about that, or we can recognize that's the time we're in. And I think it's more important to recognize that's the time we're in.
I agree.
Which is what we do a show about, right? Like, we don't come on here and be like, we dunked on him. Y'all are going to vote for Kamala Harris. It's like, no, I definitely don't want that. I just want us to be able to be like, look at these fucking clowns. Look at these people just lying to our face and thinking that we don't remember what time it is. Like, this is a clip of Vance. This is a scandal from last week that I really don't want to die, although we lack the ability to keep thoughts in our head.
Yeah.
That shit at that gravesite, I don't think we touched on it enough. It's just shitty that he's standing there with his fucking smiley face and a thumbs up.
Yeah, that was there was a lot of bad things to take away from that photo op, but yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, the history book version of this is like in front of a fucking tombstone of dead people. Like,
yeah, it's not a good look.
Like bone spurs are a serious issue. I get that, but like, fucking you of all people. Anyway, so I love this clip because it starts off with JD Vance covering for his boy, being like, you guys act like you've made a campaign video out of this, and then followed up by a campaign video they used it.
You're acting like Donald Trump filmed a TV commercial at a gravesite.
We lost 13 great.
This is his TikTok video. So you're right. It wasn't a commercial. It had 25 bazillion views on TikTok.
Great people. What a horrible day it was.
Real Donald Trump on TikTok. This is his video. They made this. If by definition it didn't get aired on NBC and say, I'm Donald Trump, I approve this message. Okay. All right.
Still political messaging.
And that's not the rule. The rule is the cemetery is for fallen soldiers, and they don't want fallen soldiers to be used as a political campaign stunt. So it can't be used for partisan political purposes is what they used. All alliteration aside, partisan political purposes.
We didn't lose one person in 18 months. And then they took over that disaster, the leaving of Afghanistan.
You guys.
See him giving his fucking thumbs up. Like,
it's man, it is difficult to not be angry watching that.
I know. I'm thinking of one person that we're both close to that seems to say like, oh, well, they all go. Yeah, they all do. They like the people were like, so I don't want to name someone that we both respect, but there's a dude we like. And he's like, both politicians, all politicians. He's like, Biden was at Arlington Cemetery. Biden was at Arlington Cemetery while he was vice president, and he was filmed, and it wasn't a fucking like campaign ad.
He was participating in a function that was part of his being VP.
If you're trying to say there's a fine line, you're absolutely right.
There is.
The person that works there can identify that and say, hey, don't do this. We don't want you using it this way. And you're supposed to respect that if you have a bit of decorum.
Yeah.
All right. We're good. Can I play a wackadoo of the week?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to half. How is it 2.5? How, Alan? This was supposed to be a short show. I didn't bring any material. You know what? We're just so funny.
We did something very dark.
So this is allegedly Elon Musk's. She says she's Elon Musk's babysitter.
Oh.
We did something very dark, and I never told what he did. And then one day I asked someone in the circle, Imelda, Joaquin's mother. I asked Imelda, I said, is he the Antichrist? I was 13 years old. She didn't even blink. She said, no, but he will present the mark. And when you see him do that, the Antichrist will take the stage. Now here we are, 40 years later, boom, that boy is the star of the world. The boy's name then was El Elyon, but it's changed over time, and I see that boy everywhere, and the world adores him, but he's the king of Babylon. Anyway, the boy did something.
Wow.
She looks like some emerald miners.
Babysitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, potentially, sure.
Why do I imagine she's walking through like Sequoia National Forest, like up by where you live, like
barefoot?
Yeah. All right. Well, can I ask you a question before we go to half?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna give you a series of questions, and I want to see if you can identify what these questions are.
Okay.
Who are you? How old are you?
Okay.
Who is Darth Vader?
Oh, I know this.
Wait. Okay. Well, my next question's gonna ruin it. What is this line of questions?
It's Alex Jones interviewing ChatGPT.
These are the first 5 questions Alex Jones asked ChatGPT. He goes, who are you? Who are you? How old are you? A robot. Who is Darth Vader? I don't know.
What a guy.
That's the end of the show. Sorry. Who is Darth Vader? What is globalism? What concerns should the human community have about the energy consumption of AI?
This is the B-side of our platter, sports fans. And I'm singing just for you, covered in sequins.
In the canyons of your mind, I will wander through your brain to the ventricles of your heart, my dear. I'm in love with you again. across the mountains of your chest. I will stick a Union Jack to the forest of your cheek, through the holes in your string bag.
How's the back holding up?
You know what? Either I'm really drunk or this whole rig I'm trying to get myself back into is working, man.
Nice. Maybe
So,
both.
why not Zoidberg?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell everybody what I'm doing? You saw me do it the last time.
You're putting the heat pad on your back and then using a back brace to secure its location on your lower back and kind
That
of
shit is like strapped in there. I'd say strapped on there, but I have to find oh, it's right here.
He will strap it on and peg you.
Dude, if that made my back feel good, I don't fucking care, man. It makes something feel good. You know what I'm talking about? Eh?
Hey now.
Hey now.
Hey now.
Hey now.
You need to relax.
All right, calm down.
You probably would need to relax.
And breathe, right?
And,
I
yeah.
hear that helps. Like, so
Yeah.
for some reason, you're supposed to breathe.
Yeah, it's important.
Never really understood why breathing. Oh, that thing I do occasionally to maintain consciousness.
Yeah.
I should do that for this. Okay.
You gotta relax, man. Relax.
You need to relax. I don't want to look at this lady anymore.
Yeah, me either.
I think I have a question I wanted to ask you coming back, but I feel like I wrote down a heavy one. Fuck it. I'll ask you this. All right. The music's probably faded out by now, anyways. We've been talking about pegging or whatever we've been doing.
Yeah.
Whatever we've been talking about, not whatever we've been doing. Me and Alan pegging each other.
I don't know what you did at half, but
I keep just handing it to James. He sent me a thing with whatever it was last week. He's like, I fucking got that. I don't even remember what it was. Anyway, I could tell you this. I gotta
talk about a fucking dog dying.
That's what I got planned for us. So the hostages.
Oh God.
I don't have any sound bites about the hostages from the weekend. And come Friday, I don't even know if that'll be like in the headline show.
Probably not at this point. Yeah.
Not because they don't support Israel in the news, Alan. So 6.
6 hostages, including one with a dual citizenship, American and Israeli.
Well, he was like the famous one. He
Yeah.
was like the one that people like at the DNC they would talk about Hirsch something, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Not Seymour Herschel. I know that name. That's a different Hirsch.
That's
okay. That's sorry.
Yeah.
Famous Zionist Seymour Herschel. We shouldn't be laughing.
No.
So did they all die because did they get killed as rescuers were approaching or as IDF forces were getting closer to their location? That's my understanding.
Yeah. So the most recent reporting that I'm aware of is that forensically, it appears that they were killed within 48 hours of them being recovered, and so it appears
Small
to be,
space dog. You can traverse that in 48 hours in any direction, but
it appears that they were essentially executed. There's no other way to say it. And so, yeah, it appears that the Israeli military was getting close to rescuing them, and so Hamas decided to execute them as opposed to allowing them to be rescued, is what it seems to be.
Why would you choose to do that?
Well, because if they're rescued, then they're no longer any value to you. I think that's cold calculation, but that's the way Hamas would see it, I imagine.
I guess I'd be a bad hostage taker. I'd be like, well, it's not going to do me any good either way. I don't have to fucking kill a person.
Yeah, but you're not the person who would do it in the first place. So that's the difference.
I mean, fly a fucking lawnmower airplane into a concert and
right.
Okay. God, I feel like that gets lost in this because of all the bullshit Israel's done. Like it was a fucking terrorist attack. Like,
yeah,
I mean, and people do horrible things when they respond to trauma. Like, and I'm not saying this as some term to be like, so of course Israel's doing all this, but like, I'm not shocked at all that a group of people are responding in a certain way to the trauma they experienced. Externally, I would like to see them behave differently. I'm fine with saying that, but.
Well, I mean, I've said on the show many times before, this was their 9/11, and obviously in retrospect, we can see the way we as a country reacted to that attack and say, hey, we probably could have done a lot of things better or differently.
But if we had a bunch of hostages after 9/11 and George Bush wasn't willing to come up with some sort of a ceasefire to allow the hostages to come back, at some point, would it be fair to start questioning if they have, like the way Bibi has been sabotaging Biden's ceasefire proposals, it's really starting to look like he's got a side deal with Trump. And the side deal with Trump would allow him to continue this.
Right.
And it would be like, just, we'll resolve this in November, right? So it's only a couple of months, right? So if you imagine a week ago, there was a deal on the table and Trump's, Bibi is always like, oh, well, I know I agreed to this and you talked to Hamas and they agreed to that, but I want to change it to this, right? That's what keeps happening, right?
We'd add a couple other clauses here. Yeah.
To the extent that it sounds like you're just sabotaging the opportunities here, which for a while it works under the presupposition. Sure. With the assumption. It's not an article of speech, Alan.
Right.
Under the assumption that you are afraid of losing power, of what might happen to you if the war is ended and you might have to face some consequences. But it's starting more and more to look like you're not letting your lesser preferred candidates ceasefire go through because that would help them politically. And we know how he comes to the US and speaks on behalf of everybody that that AIPAC owns, but especially the Republicans, right?
Yes. Speaks to the House, doesn't talk to Obama.
He went to Mar-a-Lago, right?
Yeah.
And we know that so that was at the end of July. We know that in August he had a separate conversation with Trump too. There's no chat logs of that. Oh, by the way, the whole CNN interview with Harris, the big conspiracy is that it was twice as long. Where are the transcripts? Where are the transcripts? Where are the transcripts of Trump's conversation with Bibi? Those are consequential transcripts. Like
very much so. I mean, we know that Bibi, politically, like you said, has an existential risk for this war ending. But if there is some sort of collusion with the Trump, campaign, there seems to be a significant potential that's there. We don't know that, but it's possible.
So if everything that I've just said is true,
Mhm.
these 6 deaths would be on Trump and Bibi's hands because there would have been a ceasefire. They
Mhm.
would have exchanged the hostages.
I mean, I think they're already on Bibi's hands, whether they're not on Trump's.
So
remains to be seen.
that's what less leads to be seen.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to that Egyptian bribery story? What's long as we're on the subject? Remember when the Egyptians paid the Trump campaign a shitload of money?
Yeah, that sort of
Forgot about that, right?
fell through the cracks. Well, there was that,
Just
and
just gallops through the media, right? Like, just who has time to pay attention to that?
when you first said, I was thinking of Menendez, but
Mhm.
no, but yeah, the Trump thing happened too. Yeah,
And those
kind of
bags
just.
of cash that they weighed. Yeah,
How often do you think that happens?
all the time, all the time. I don't care who it is. If you catch it, you should look into it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've listened to this podcast called
Gas Man.
Crime Town.
Okay.
And it's gone through Detroit and I can't remember the first. Providence, Rhode Island.
You think
And
they talk about those drug houses I used to buy my weed from in Detroit?
probably, yes, definitely about drugs, but really it talks about mayors and how corrupt they can be.
Dude, the mayor of Detroit, Kilpatrick, while I lived there, was the biggest drug dealer in his high school.
Dude, so Kilpatrick is.
They talk about Kwame Kilpatrick?
Yeah, the second season of Crime Town is all
Is about him?
Yes,
That was when I lived there. That's when I would buy my drugs at those houses.
it's very good. It's very well done.
Oh man, I gotta listen to this.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, corruption, even at the mayoral level of politics, is
Oh,
just
yeah.
insane.
I've seen The Wire. I've seen The Wire.
Sure.
The best thing that's come out of Natasha watching Sopranos with me is I got her on board to watching The Wire later.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I think it's Square in the first season. I don't think
it
it's
is.
Letterbox.
Yeah, I think it is too.
If it is, it's not high def. It's
definitely not high
Yeah,
def.
we're gonna have to get through at least one season before it gets
Yeah.
back. That first season's so good though. The Wire's so good.
So good.
I feel like, don't you remember being pissed off when the second season started? You're like, I don't care about these Polacks on the
Yep.
dock.
Yeah, I do.
Did you have that ethnic slur in there
Like,
like I
where's-
did, or would you?
Where's McNulty? Like, I need some McNulty.
Yeah, but he came back.
He did come back. Yeah.
What are we doing?
I don't know.
We're
It's
doing
gonna be a 4-hour show.
No. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We got to go through this quick. How did
Yeah.
this even happen?
I don't know. Oh, there's not a lot. We're oh jeez, baby.
Did I stop recording the? How did this happen? All right, into the Trump cult. Trump still doesn't understand tariffs. I have this that I thought I was going to play back when I didn't think that we were going to, have a 3-hour fucking show.
It's not a tax on the middle class. It's a tax on another country. If you look at McKinley, he was actually a great president. He made
This is from the Bob Seska podcast.
Piece of his economic plan.
And he doesn't even know what they are.
He doesn't know.
I love
This is
Buzz.
Donald Trump talking with talking adenoid Mark Levin about tariffs. Listen to this bullshit.
It's not a tax on the middle class. It's a tax on another country. If you look at McKinley, he was actually a great president. He made the country rich. It's probably the richest we ever were.
Under
relatively.
McKinley?
But he taxed countries for coming in and taking our jobs, for bringing us their product, for taking away our factories because they would make it and come in. And he taxed them. It was called a tariff. And it's not.
No, just stop. We just need to stop. Stop. I just want to play this again because we played this a week ago or a week before that. And Trump does not understand tariffs. He still doesn't understand tariffs. The only person that pays for, when you create a tariff, the person that pays for it is an American entity. It's an American company. It's an American. It has to be by definition because you don't get to make other countries pay taxes.
Right.
You force Americans to pay a tariff to import another country's goods once you create the tariff, which is arbitrary. So you are creating a tax on an American, and at the end of the day, it gets dispersed amongst millions of consumers.
Yes.
There is no way of seeing that as a tax on a foreign country.
It's not possible.
There are ways of having a tariff that serves some purpose, and you could single that out to me and show it to me, and I would believe you, and I would agree with you. But like these broad strokes that he wants to get rid of the income tax and replace it with tariffs. I want to get rid of the income tax too. I like the fact that before we had income tax, we funded our government with tariffs. We didn't have the type of government we have now.
Or the type of economy that we have now.
That was a good point too.
Yeah.
Yep. Actually, that's the bigger point, right? Like, do you like the money we make? Yeah, right. That's what keeps us here. So, well, guess what sucks with that, having this type of a government? We can try to shrink it, but you're not going to get that way by using tariffs. And okay. All right. I'm not going to act like I read Hillbilly Elegy. I got you mid-drink. But this guy sounds like he's suffering from insufficient mommying.
Where does the racial gender resentment come from? Is it just because they realize that they didn't get what they want and now they want to exert their anger on the
divides
world?
in America is between people who live within like 30 miles of their mother and people who don't live within 30 miles of their mother. But I think most people would actually be healthier and happier. They'd have a lower consumption. They'd be healthier and happier if they were within 30 miles of where their mother lives. This is one weird thing that conservatives don't talk about enough, so I'm sorry to go in this direction, but we don't talk enough about the fact that like traditional masculine traits,
like wearing eyeliner,
are now actively suppressed from childhood all the way through adulthood. Like my 4-year-old boy, when he plays, what he wants to play is fighting. He wants to fight dragons. He wants to fight bears. He wants to fight monsters. It's kind of weird how uncomfortable that makes people. It's like, well, maybe we should be a little less, violent. Maybe we shouldn't use those words. Maybe the monster's just hungry. But you start to realize there's like this weird cultural suppressant effect over men that I think is extremely dangerous. I mean, look, if the Chinese invade us in 10 years, they're going to be beaten back by boys like Ewan who practice fighting the monsters, who become proud men who defend their homes. They're not going to be.
Did you hear him try to do the Ewans?
I did.
Ewans.
Defended by the soy boys who want to feed the monsters.
Yeah.
So,
God,
like, I love what he's trying to tap into here, right?
Yeah.
Like, there is the whole, like, well, why is testosterone lower than it's ever been? It's like, well, that's a good question to ask. It's been steadily declining for decades. It might have something to do with our diets. I don't know. Perhaps there's something about the seed oils. I'm not dismissing that. I don't think that you saying that guys that are happier live within 30 miles of their mother, like, what do you, like?
It's a very bizarre equation to make.
Yeah.
That's like, really? Okay. That's where okay. That's the
I mean, you're not gonna catch me saying that we're not soft, right? Like we definitely are. Like I'm right there with like, yeah, like God forbid anybody fucking invades. Like I don't look left and right and see a lot of people around me that are willing to die for our country.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be resolved by us making sure we live within 30 miles of our mother. Like, I don't know that's a weird thing to say. Like, and like, I get that there's something about like, there's been in our lifetime a focus on like, don't let rambunctious boys, be too aggressive. Like, but that's been memeified, right? Like people have been talking about that as long as they've been talking about participation trophies. Like,
sure,
I'm not worried about kids being told to, don't be so aggressive. Oh, don't let little Timmy like those people were being raised by pussies anyways. Like they weren't going to like if those parents were different, those kids wouldn't have otherwise have grown up and been the way you're fantasizing about them being like strong American protectors, right?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you can still go to Target and Walmart and find like action figures with guns and stuff. So like,
yes,
that's not like that's just disappeared, and kids don't play with those things
right?
anymore.
Yes, and there is something about child psychology, child development that there is something true about that. I happen to be comfortable making the bold statement of maybe it's okay trying to unwind that a little bit.
Sure,
globally though. Right, like that's the problem, right?
Appeal
like,
to our
these Dagestanis over there. They're willing to pound everyone's head. But like, yeah, we'll have a better society if 50% aren't more inclined to just get into fights when their emotions are.
That would be better,
right? Like, yeah,
that would be better. Yeah,
and that's the intention of those. But pendulum swing. Anyway, Donald.
By the way, it's just so to suggest that culturally everybody is a soy boy that's in the younger generation, I don't buy any of that premise. I mean, I mean, rappers still stunt with guns and try to look tough and cool.
Yeah, but they're rapping
And
about their feelings and shit.
and that's
all that Drake's.
there's still the violent aspect of it too. That's part of that culture.
Yeah.
I don't think like it's not gone. And to your point, maybe it'd be better if there were less of that. Like maybe we'd be better
Yeah.
off without
Right,
all that.
right.
you know?
Incrementally, right?
Yeah, maybe it's not as
And
hyper-violent.
accepting that you're going to swing too far and then things will go back. And
Sure.
we're in the middle of there being a counter momentum to that swing,
Sure.
which I get, but I'm not going to like fully endorse the vice presidential candidate that decides to leverage that. That's
Right.
all I'm saying. Like,
sure.
I'm like, yes, good point. Let's talk about this. Hey, that guy over there whose whole fucking thing is this, I'm not taking him seriously. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
Go do that shit on Twitter. Don't actually run for office with me.
Right. Yeah, you're better on Twitter than running for office.
Yeah.
But that pendulum's been swinging back and forth
It has.
forever.
Yeah. Did you know Donald Trump's daughter-in-law released a music video?
It's
The explosion button is on this tab.
Okay, I did not know this. No.
Without your bravery, we're all out of luck. No, this can't be denied. You gotta be special. It takes a lot to put you last and everybody first.
Okay, all right. Wow.
Without your bravery, we're all out of luck.
Was that auto-tuned?
Oh, dude, was it auto-tuned? Hey, there's no way we had a 2-hour first half. Like, I don't understand how we're sitting here this far into the show.
I think we did.
It didn't feel like that, like at
Good.
all. All right. Well, we're into best of the left. It's moving along. We're gonna have a 15-minute second half.
I think
If I see like the waveform of this show, it's gonna be not. There's no halves. Yeah, there's a 1/5 at the end. All right. So Fox. If you listen to Fox News, they would have you convinced that Kamala Harris left the astronauts in space.
President Kamala Harris. Who knew?
So I think it's very hard for her to get away from the reality that she is a key player in a failed administration. It's failed on prices. It's failed on the border. She was chair of the National Space Council. They just left 2 astronauts in space.
Yeah, because the National Space Council runs Boeing. You know how that works.
Yeah, so she's the president of the National Space Council, and thanks Kamala Harris. We got
Thanks,
Boeing. Yeah,
Kamala.
yeah, thanks Kamala. This is a Little Shop of Horrors. That's my note about this. I think this is that guy. Yeah, this is Hoff
Feed me,
Matthews.
Seymour.
What? Feed me Seymour? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
This is Hoff Matthews, one of my favorite follows.
Vice President Harris, what do you think of the local junior high's selection of Little Shop of Horrors as this year's school play?
Same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
Oh, that was the answer to whether she was
When
black.
she's black, yeah.
Yeah.
Harsh. Governor Walz, I think not many people know that you actually voiced Seymour in a Little Shop soundtrack album.
I think people know who I am. They know that record.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. This guy's so good at it. What a clever, this isn't even groundbreaking, right?
No.
Like, how is he doing this better than most people have? Like,
He's very funny. He pulls it
Oh.
off. Yeah.
yeah. Alan, I got a clip for you. This is that guy from the podcast that we've been talking about a lot in this episode, Knowledge Fight. What's with your man here?
I understand.
In terms of should he have been
So people that were here for the hidden track have heard me complaining and motherfucking. I don't like the word motherfucker. I think I'll talk about that before we end the show. It's not the point now. I've been motherfucking this guy Jordan, who's the co-host of Knowledge Fight, and I flat out just don't. You know what? He rubs me the wrong way, Alan. That's my edgy take on him.
I would say he's an acquired taste. I've been listening to this show for quite a while.
You think I'm going to come around on him? Or you think I'll love to hate him?
I think he will. At least for me, I still find him annoying often, and I often
be like,
find his takes where he's like,
You glitched out while I asked you a very personal question.
"Oh, sorry." What
When
was
I
it?
asked you if he's going to come around on me, you kind of paused. Maybe it was the internet. You looked like you were going to say, like, I think he's going to come around on you.
No, what I was saying was that for me personally, I still find him annoying often. And oftentimes his little rants don't really go anywhere and don't seem to actually fit the topic. And he often sort of resorts to violent rhetoric, not super like. And I don't even believe
it's sophomoric, right?
It's sophomoric. Yeah, he's like, I want to punch him in the face. Or I want to do something like that. It's like, dude, like just make a point. Occasionally he does add some value, and I think that Dan needs him there as somebody to bounce off of.
Yes.
So there's that.
I think he could do better though.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I understand.
In terms of should he have been arrested, I can see an argument for yes, and I can see an argument for no.
In a conversation wherein things make sense, I totally understand why there would be ambiguity here. In real life, if you start a social network, you should probably be arrested.
Oh. What? If that's the level that you're...
I mean...
Okay.
I don't know what to tell you.
If that is your...
So he goes, that's kind of a tell of his. I mean, either you take the wheel or I'll have to keep talking because I don't know where I put myself.
I don't know what to tell you.
If that is your bar, then yes, it is very not complicated.
I don't think social networks should exist at all. So, I mean, also, like, I get what you're saying, but how...
Do you think he means what he's saying? Do you think he has a strong belief that social networks should no longer exist?
I don't think so.
He just got himself there.
How many people are in the position to be affected by this?
Yeah. You know what's funny is when Dan
abuse. I haven't
when Dan does he does that often, and to me it kind of sounds like
his way of saying "fuck you, buddy."
Like, like I don't know where the fuck you're going, dude.
Yeah, I have noticed that. Now I'm gonna start. It's you know what? It's the New York Times.
Yeah,
but well placed.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like that argument doesn't make any sense, actually, dude. Like I don't know what you're doing here. Yeah,
100%. Speaking of 100%, I think that comes up in this clip. This is our best of the left segment, by the way. The New York Times on Friday did a puff piece on tipping.
Oh, I didn't even listen.
Yeah, I don't know why I did.
I skipped it. Yeah,
I have no idea.
Gave me the option of 15 or 20%.
Sort of. She said it was at a loaf of here. Bakery.
The other day I just bought a loaf of bread and the tip thing came up, gave me the option of 15 or 20%. Do I really have to tip somebody to buy a loaf of bread?
So think about realistically, think about what the fuck she's talking about. She didn't go to Kroger. She didn't go down to Publix and buy a loaf.
She
went to a fucking bakery, an artisanal bakery.
Right.
I don't know. If you're buying something made from craft with like heart and soul poured into it, and this is my I took out a personal loan so I could make this business.
Oh, she went to the bakery that's at the bottom of one of those 40-floor high rises that has to pay $25,000 a month for rent for their 800 square foot bakery.
And everyone they employ, they can possibly pay enough to actually live in New York City. Maybe
or the very building. Or the very building that their shop is in.
You're not in a fucking bread line in Soviet Russia like you're making it fucking sound, lady. Like you went and bought artisanal bread and you're like, I have to pay a tip on this craft bread. Oh, except that was the bad Jerry voice. I should have been, God, you fucking elitist prick, right?
Yeah.
All right. This one stood out to me too from that same episode. I'm going to play this again. Remember the whole thing where it's you know what I skipped that I said 100%? I referenced that earlier. At a point where someone, do you know the East Coast thing, how they say 100% to anything? This person's like, yeah, I live off tips, 100%. I'm like, you're muddling the issue. I think it's actually percentage-wise should not come into your exclamation here. But you know the old, this is an isolation bit. You know, like the old saying, like, hey, I ain't gay, but $20 is $20, They updated it thanks to inflation.
$25 is $25. $25 is $25.
Thanks, Kamala.
It went up $5.
Yeah,
wow.
I gotta pay $25 to have somebody suck my dick these days. Thanks, Obama. I had sex with Barack Obama. What is it? I smoked crack with Barack Obama. Where is that?
I smoked crack with Barack Obama and had sex with him.
Well, yeah, James knows. I know.
Do what you do, buddy. Do what you do.
Here's Kamala Harris cackling for votes. I don't know how else to call this. I mean, I'm falling right into it. I don't know what else look, Alan. I got to make a note really quick while I add a sound to the sheet. What would you call this?
Did you vote? Are you gonna vote? Oh, will you ask people that you know to vote, please? And will you ask them to vote for me? Thank you.
That's it.
I didn't see. I've heard more.
That didn't sound fucking horrible to you.
No, I've
That
heard
is
of.
the political equivalent of a pick me girl. Like, what
Okay,
else
it
does that
is.
mean? Did you vote? Oh, okay. And did you see the way she was looking too?
Yeah.
Did you vote? Are you gonna vote? Well, will you tell people you vote? And will you ask them to vote for me? Look at my bus. I have a bus. That's a form.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
Those buses are expensive, by the way.
oh, I'm sure they are.
Now that I live somewhere where people tour, I'm like, what? Prevost like has a thing up here, and I drive past it all the time. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, well, but those, they live on those things for like months out of the year. So.
That's how much my house cost.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's crazy.
All right. Yeah, but I don't have the added benefit of it being on wheels.
On wheels.
Every Walmart parking lot could be your dog yard.
You know what's funny is
elderly abuse. God,
they'll have that huge bus and they'll have a trailer behind it with like their
Oh.
gear in it because they
Yeah.
want the space. It's like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
bus is already massive and you got
room for activities.
right.
You're gonna make bunk beds in there. Yeah. I got Detroit Kamala. That's what this says. Kamala. What am I? Kamala. Kamala.
Mhm.
Kamala.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kamala. Yes.
So this is I've had a lot of clips sent into me of Kamala doing her black voice,
Mm.
but she was in Detroit recently, and I feel like this is probably the worst example ever.
You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
Look, man, I've been the first person on this show to be like, oh, Republicans are learning about code switching. She has never sounded like a preacher before.
Better thank a union member for vacation time. Because what we know.
You can avoid doing it. Like, you can avoid talking like that because it's not genuine for you. I get that there's a version of that that's not prickly, right? But like, it shouldn't be hard for an aide to come up to her and be like, look, when you do that, it loses its genuineness and you're trying to connect with people. You
Yeah.
sound disingenuous.
Yeah, it does. The authenticity, I guess, is lost.
You know,
I'm
what'd be
just trying
funny-
to.
Oh, go ahead.
I was trying to think. So, like, I remember. I think I said this on the shows many years ago, but when I was raising William when he was in like, I don't know, 6th, 7th grade or whatever, I would allow him to say whatever he wanted in my, like, when he was around me, like with me. Like, you could swear all you want, you can say whatever the fuck you want, as long as you're with dad, just you and me, that's safe. But you understand.
Sorry.
Inward.
But you not that. But you understand that not in this environment, you can't do that.
Yes. Yeah.
And so
right,
that is because
right.
I think that's a useful thing for.
I agree.
a
My
kid
mom
to
had something like
understand.
that with me. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and
like,
then of course they go to school and push those boundaries, find out they shouldn't have.
sure.
You
But
tell
the
them,
way-
hey, remember what we talked about? Right.
Right.
And then
The
they
way
learn.
you act does change based on your environment.
Yes.
But that definitely comes off as inauthentic, especially when you compare that to the way she sounds in other places.
Why does inauthentic sound so much better than disingenuous? Like I feel like I use disingenuous so much. When you say inauthentic, it hits harder. Like it's not authentic, and all you're trying to do is get people to give their vote to you.
Yeah, it's funny. We never talked about on the show. There was kind of a thing in the Bay Area because Kamala, when she talks about where she's from,
Oakland,
but really the house that she talked about in her DNC speech was in Berkeley, which is literally like you can be in Berkeley in one block.
There's bad parts of Berkeley. I sold marine boating equipment there.
Right. But you can be in Berkeley and a block later you're in Oakland and not even know it. Like that's totally the whole Bay Area is like
For
that.
real. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny because it was kind of a big thing in the Bay Area because, obviously we know where these places are. And I saw some people interviewed in Berkeley and they're like, yeah, we're not mad about it. We understand. Like Berkeley has a reputation and she wants to distance herself from that. And we're fine with it.
Wait,
So
what's the reputation she wants? Oh, liberal.
Berkeley,
activism?
super liberal.
So
Yeah.
she says Oakland.
No, because Berkeley.
That's so funny though, because if you know anything, you wouldn't really split that hair.
You wouldn't.
Which is your
Absolutely.
point, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But people in the middle of the country probably don't know that. They think of
Yeah.
Berkeley as sort of that crazy place.
Yeah, in the 60s.
Right, as opposed to Oakland doesn't have that reputation. But realistically, they're both pretty much the same.
No, I worked in the Berkeley store for West Marine, and I had to drive to the closest McDonald's, which was the closest place to eat, so less than a mile. And it was an entirely different
Oh, yeah,
experience.
but the whole base like that, you can,
Yeah,
like,
of course. Yeah.
I mean, Oakland.
You know what? Most people listening, that's true about where they live too, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you know what would be funny? Talking about code switching.
Oh, elderly abuse.
You gotta be quicker. Gotta be quicker than that. I still want to say it the same way though. It would be funny if instead of so like, look, when we talk about her code switching,
Yeah.
we talk about her switching from standard white voice into one of her ethnicities.
Jeez.
You see where I go with this?
I do see.
Wouldn't it be funny if she decided to code switch into
Bloody fuck you, bloody!
It happened to be on this page. I didn't even know.
Oh no!
Imagine she's like, "Ooh, vote for me! I will make all of your overtime pay, and your shift leader will not be able to tell you will not be able to adjust your time card." Am I going too far? I said, "Oh, is that?"
No.
Dude, I feel like, do you know what I've been saying on the show for years? Up until like 10 years ago, the last ethnicity you could make fun of with a voice was Asians. And I think we just forgot about the Indian accent because I think that's still, I think I will see no harm from that, no matter how long that lives on the internet.
Wasn't there like a kind of a backlash against The Simpsons?
Oh, yeah, never mind. I take everything I just said back, including the previous actions. I've learned and I'm now a better person at this moment than I was just recently. And I'm so glad that you've all been so forgiving and understanding.
You're
and
on your
allowed
journey.
me- allowed me to become the person I am now, not 15 seconds ago.
Sure. Yes.
Kamala Harris says that we need to build a wall.
What?
Yeah, that's kind of weird, right?
It's kind of weird.
Well, here's her saying we don't need to.
Definition, just plain speak, basic English language definition. It is not an emergency. Very clear, I'm not going to vote for a wall under any circumstances. And when I travel this country, folks have plenty enough problems that they need their president to focus on instead of a wall that, by the way, because I was a prosecutor for many years, including the Attorney General of California, I specialize on transnational criminal organizations.
Yeah.
That wall ain't going to stop them. No.
All right. So these are old clips when she was running for president in 2020. But you saw this last week, right? Like where news broke that she was like, yeah, I want funding to go towards building a wall with Mexico. Basically, she flip-flopped on Trump's taxes being tips being tax exempt, right? She's flip-flopped now on his whole build a wall. You saw this, right? That she had endorsed building a wall.
She said she would sign the bipartisan.
You know what? I'm glad that
immigration.
okay, so I never heard what you just said. That was going to be my big reveal.
Okay.
Yeah. So what really happened? Because
So she's
because I pay attention to a lot of right-wing media circles.
Right.
And what was getting sent around was that she is a flip-flopper. She now wants to build a wall just like Trump's. And like I even had that brought to me in the context of, yeah, even Obama built some of his wall too. Oh,
I lost you for a second. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. It says I was offline.
Yeah.
Anyway, like there is news of the last week that she has endorsed. News has made its way around that she has endorsed building a wall, aka flip-flopper, against all the clips I just played, right?
She said that she would sign the bipartisan immigration bill that was brought up. We talked about the was it Langford?
Why didn't that get signed?
Because Trump said not to, because
It's
he wanted.
bipartisan. That means both parties would be good. There's only two.
Trump
parties.
wanted it as a political issue and felt that if the Democrats got this across the line, they would take the win for it and he wouldn't be able to use it. And so part of that bipartisan bill included building some wall.
So we can get specific about it.
Okay.
So 600 hey man, I was not expecting you to have the fucking receipts on this one. So I almost wanted to put this in the culture wars because as it was written in the breaking news by Axios.
Okay.
This is how it was written in Axios. In her speech, the Democratic National Convention last week, so 2 weeks ago, Harris said she would sign the recent bipartisan border security bill. Now they're referring to 2 weeks ago, last week.
Right.
The bill negotiated by senators requires hundreds of millions of dollars of unspent funds to be used to continue building the wall on the border.
Right.
So
already allocated.
All of our facts can come together now.
Yeah.
She is a woman who campaigned after saying, I don't think building a wall makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
I am the current leader of the Democratic Party. Of the two parties, the Democrats and the Republicans recently agreed on this immigration settlement. Basically, you can call it a negotiation.
Right.
And the agreed upon terms of the party that I am a representative of were that in order to get what my party wanted, the opposing party needed to allow the unspent funds from the previous wall to go through.
Right.
Wall funding, right?
Yep.
Now, if part of you are really attentive in the news for decades now, you would think, well, you mean like Trump's $18 billion proposal to build the wall? Nope. 650 million.
Mm-hmm.
So 650 million, which is a lot of fucking money, and I don't like it either.
Sure.
Not 18 billion though, was tied up in unspent money on Trump's proposed wall in order to get a bipartisan bill. The Democrats said, sure, we'll deal with that if you'll meet us on these things.
Right.
Probably getting all these illegals to vote for Democrats. Right? like, do you get what I'm saying? Like there was a negotiation process. She's the leader of that party, and she's saying, I will agree with that and I will sign that. And they're finding the worst part of that bill and being like, look, this conflicts with something she said. You're right. That's called being a leader and having to negotiate and come to terms where you can move forward and not be constantly arguing about problems that are, I mean, Alan, in 2005, I remember this being a big fucking problem and George Bush was going to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it didn't get fixed and it didn't get fixed and it did. So we're arguing about old problems so they can keep them around and fight with each other about it. Fucking solve it. Solve it badly now. They would have only worked in 2005. I don't fucking care.
Right.
Like,
and the fact that both parties were able to be like, okay, I don't like that, but
nobody got anything they wanted.
But if I can get
pointed at that and said, you want to be president, but you like agreeing with them on this? Yes. In fact, this is why you should vote for me.
That's how negotiations work.
Bullshit that the art of the deal man does.
Yes. Yes. All of that. Yes. Sometimes
sorry for yelling.
Sometimes when you have to negotiate to get to come to terms, you have to agree with things maybe you don't love. But
and again, it was unspent money on a previously agreed upon bill that a previous Congress put through that they didn't spend the money on, and they've been fighting over. Probably spent more of that money in legal fees fighting over it.
Probably.
All right. Okay, we got to end this soon. People misunderstood this clip intentionally, and it bugs me. And I just want to play this so that I can say we set something straight on the show. Share. This is
about it with folks, knowing that he's not going to do anything. He talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder factory. That's not how.
So how do you hear people sharing that?
Oh, I remember that clip. I don't remember. I don't think.
People are like, he doesn't believe in walls.
Oh.
Which is funny.
That's funny. It's his last name.
Yeah. But like, that's not what he's saying, right? He's saying if you're going to make a 25-foot wall, I have an idea of a business that if someone wants investors in can overcome a 25-foot wall. Right. That's all he's saying.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the same thing.
That's not the same thing at all.
He's telling you, like, you would want that guy in the meeting. being like, okay, if we're building a wall, have you considered ladders? Right? Like,
Yes.
okay.
You definitely want that guy in the meeting.
That's not saying I think that we should tear down the walls. He's saying you're not thinking this shit through. Fix immigration at its causes, not at the wall position.
Right. Let's fix the cause, not the
Because
symptom.
you don't need a wall to get people on little Zodiac boats and take them into La Jolla or Ocean. I never go down there because it's
Oceania. No, I understand what you're saying.
It's southern San Diego. It's the beach, Ocean Beach. First of all, it used to be where everybody did heroin when I was a kid, so I wasn't allowed to go down there. They had the one good pot or head shop in all of San Diego was down there called the Black, and that was the only reason I ever went down there. If you went out on that pier, it was just people strung out on heroin when I was a kid.
Wow.
Yeah, but anyways, it's supposed to be nice now. A lot of people I know own houses down there, but it's like the beach on the other side of the border from Tijuana. So like whenever you see all like the filth at the scooters and the cars and the dumping that goes into the river in Tijuana, and you just go, hey, it goes out the river there, and this is where you surf. Okay. I'm going to pretend like that's not a problem 50 miles north. It's not even 50 miles. Anyways, dude, people take little Zodiac boats off of like bigger boats offshore, and they drop immigrants off in those little coves all the time. Like,
yeah, I imagine it's super easy. Yeah.
Right. All right. Thought I gave you a big humdinger there. Oh, you know what? You were quiet because you thought I was going to press this button.
I was.
It's another battle in the culture wars. Oh, not the culture wars. They're worried about a culture war. Culture wars. Stop with the culture wars.
I don't understand how we're doing this on time. I'm so sorry. I thought this was going to be an hour and a half show.
We're good.
Yeah, but like, you know what? That just means we did a lot of good talking.
That's right.
There weren't
That's what
that
we
many
do.
clips. Oh my God.
That's what we do.
You know what? These muscle pills are really getting to me.
The muscle relaxants.
Muscle relaxers are really getting to me. Okay, so I don't like this guy because he's clearly like a neocon or some like boomer that grew up on like anti-communist propaganda. I will say in the best form of that is sort of like, well, know his enemy. This is one-sided, right? Because I can at a higher level appreciate the dialectic. But in our age of political I never know if it's demagogues or is it always demagogues?
I think it's demagogues, yeah.
Okay. There are demigods though, right?
Demigods are like sub-gods, sort of.
Yeah. Okay, so just forget about that one because that doesn't make sense in this context. Okay, so demagogues.
Gogs, geez.
Started from the beginning. So there are, in our age of political demagogues, people will always take advantage of formulas that are so successful. And the thesis, antithesis, synthesis formula. I mean, maybe it was in existence anyways, right?
Sure.
But it's been leveraged by some pretty bad guys over in that sector, Alan.
Yeah, it definitely has.
So like I said, this is definitely like boomer raised on like Reaganomics, but
So Napoleon conquers Europe, and the king of Prussia said, we can't get conquered that easy anymore. We got to strengthen the state. He gets a philosopher named Hegel. He's a professor at the University of Berlin, and he comes up with something called Hegelian dialectics. One of his students is Karl Marx. And so the dialectic is a triangle: thesis, antithesis, synthesis. And so Karl Marx says, okay, the thesis is the status quo. The antithesis or antithesis is a crisis. You sow discord. You send in agitators, agent provocateurs, and they sow discord. And then when the people feel insecure, they'll surrender their freedom for security to somebody promising to solve it. And there's a synthesis. But the synthesis is you've lost half of your freedom. And so this process, you start off with the status quo, you create a problem that's real bad, and everybody's happy to settle for your answer that's half as bad. And then that becomes the new starting point. You create another problem that's real bad, and everybody's happy to settle for your answer. Then you
think like COVID and all our or think about 9/11, right?
Sure.
The Patriot Act. By the way, thanks to COVID, nobody even talks about the Patriot Act. Nobody even is like, well, you mean those things that we grow up on where they monitor everything I do all the time?
Create another problem that's and after each crisis, the people give up a little more of their freedom and independence, right? So
when you look at that, or when you think about that in the context of, I mean, I gave you an example of the way the neocons and neolibs have been dealing with it, right? But like, if you look at, the MAGA side of things, and when I say things that make you laugh, like MAGA communism,
Yeah.
Do you get it?
I get it. I do. I get it. Absolutely.
MAGA communism is a thing. You can laugh because of how it sounds.
Right.
But like that is the new perplexing form of politics that we live under.
I'm really excited to.
Which is crazy though, right? Because it's MAGA communism. The people that should be hating that are the people that are the boomers that are largely voting for it.
But as you said, they've lost all sense of direction because they're in a cult of personality. They no longer have the wayfinders to point them, where they used to. I'm really excited to finish that Lex Friedman with Chink, and I'm excited for you to listen to it. I think it covers a lot of these topics pretty well.
Are you giving me this as homework? Listen.
I think you should. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's the most aggressive you ever get. I end the show with a question. We're gonna
what you got?
Just under a minute. We can do okay. All right, ready? Really quick. Motherfucker has never made any sense to me. Well, in two ways, it's always made sense, but it's never been clear. Do you know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean?
It's a weird.
Like, is it other people's moms or is it their? Like, I feel like, first of all, my mom has always hated that word. I remember as long as I've known that word, I've known my mom being like, I don't like that word. I'm like, right. How so?
Can you detail your
like? I don't. Is it like? Can you ask the question better than I'm dancing around? Like, is it?
Well,
is it disdain for people that fuck other people's moms and you just like that's a bad person? Because I would agree. Or
maybe not.
Much more morally worse.
You know what? It's never been clear to me either. I you know how sometimes words just get like charged with something and it's just it doesn't really matter what the word means. It's just it's a placeholder for a feeling or an emotion or an action. So I can't answer that question because I don't know either. And I don't think it matters when people say that. I think it's conveying it as a different thing than what the word actually would mean.
Inward.
When a guy's banging you,
y'all let me in this damn house.
Oh, how about that?
Come in the name of peace.
LMFAO.
What in the world is this?
Trump's pee-pee.
Why would you say something that stupid?
I come without explanations or solutions. I'm a very sexy lady, cat turd.
I will not suffer this harlot.
How great! An anti-American Marxist.
Ted Cruz, go fuck yourself.
Read the news.
China is asshole.
God bless the United States.
Now this is podcasting.
Drive safe, dude.
Cheers.